Welcome back to another episode of the Rodcast. Rothy, this is a special one because it's brought to you by the guys at Daiwa. I know you're stoked about it. What are you holding in your hand?
Mate, right here I have one of their premium JDM Japanese reels, the 26 Certate SW in my hand. So they're actually releasing 2 new Certates for 2026 in January. And this one right here is, it's actually got a lot of features from the Saltiga. Mate, you wouldn't even tell the difference, but look, listen to that drag clicker. This thing is smooth as butter. The other reel that they're releasing late January is the Certate HD, which is probably the one that I'm the most excited about. Suits my fishing from a 3,000 to a 5,000 size. But, mate, I can't wait to get my hands on that thing. But if it's anything to go off, it's going to be a wicked reel.
Make sure you guys support Daiwa because they support the Rodcast. And let's rip into this episode.
We are back, Lecker, for another Rodcast, mate. And would you believe it? I've actually never, ever been to the region that we're probably going to be talking about today, which is Exmouth. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it, mate. Tell you what, and it must be high on the list of things to do. And to be honest, we haven't actually spoken about Exmouth and this region a lot on this podcast. We've had one pretty big guest from up there, Whitey.
Yep.
But today we have got a real guru from that area. A bit of an OG. He's wincing right now. I can see with me pumping his tyres up. He doesn't like it, but we got Matt Gates on the casting couch.
Joined by his young boys, Dean and Kalvin too. So welcome to the podcast, boys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us, lads.
Boys, we start every podcast. So we'll go Gatesy, Kalvin and Dean with the last fish that you caught. What was the last fish you caught, Gatesy?
You're going to laugh, but I think it was a Dewey in the Bluewater Classic, like in February last year. Believe that if you can.
Wow, I did not expect that.
Nah.
Review of all people. Been a busy year then, eh?
Well, it is, but I drive the boat. I don't touch the rods really. It's all, all about these two.
Makes sense being into your game fishing.
How good's that?
What about you, Kalvin?
This will be a test as to how good you are at driving the boat then. What was the last fish you got?
Oh, geez, it's pretty embarrassing. Just probably like I don't know, maybe a brim or a spango at the marina. I'm pretty sure it was a spango actually.
That's not embarrassing.
Just haven't
mate,
been
that's
in a marina
epic.
bash yet.
That's wicked.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dino, put that microphone in front of you, dude.
I don't know. We went out on the boat and we did some reef fishing. So maybe it was a late afternoon and we had a big day, but probably some sort of like reef fish. It wasn't good like a trout. Maybe like a big spango or something like that because we got so many spangos that day.
Yeah, God, imagine that. Like, that's a bad problem to have, isn't it? Good
As
problem
a
to have.
kid, I'll tell you what,
A
mate.
big spango, not that good.
Yeah, Rothy considers himself a bit of a spango
I
expert.
love
That's his
spangos,
target
mate.
species when he goes up.
I
up
love
north.
land-based spango fishing especially. I'm a bit jealous of you boys.
So Gatesy, we'll move back to you though because we've had some gurus in here recently as well. Tommy Miller being one of them, and a lot of them have sort of referred back to you as, oh, he's done that before. He's done that. Every fish there is, Gatesy's caught it. What actually got you into fishing? Can you tell us about your early days? So obviously you want to get the young boys into it and they are into it now. How did you start?
It's quite ironic, really. I wasn't into it at all. And my parents, I was English. We lived near a stream just down the road in a Wiltshire town called Calne. And my old man said, "You want to go jam jarring?" And I'm like, "Oh, jam? Yeah, righto." And I can remember it. I'll be well younger than these two. And basically tied a bit of string around an old jam jar, put some dough in it, dropped it, laid it on its side. The minnows would swim into the current in the jar. You pull them up and catch these little minnows and then just piff them back and do that. And then I was like, I like this. And that's how it started. Trapping them and called jam jarring. Well, it was a thing in the UK that we did as kids.
I've heard my granddad talk about that too. He's from the UK, yeah. Grew up in Windsor.
So when did you come over then?
84. So I was 10 and a half.
Yeah. And moved to where?
Perth. Yeah. We moved. Where did we live first? Callaroo, Edgewater, Heathridge, Sereno, just around this sort of area as well.
Yeah, right.
What's the other one? Duncraig, is it? I forget now. It's
yeah,
been so long.
Duncraig.
Yep.
So the next evolution for Gatesy, which a lot of people probably know him for, Rothy, is Tackle World Exmouth.
That is baby, yeah.
Yeah. So how long were you been in Tackle World Exmouth? How did you actually start and get into that?
Again, long story with that one, but it started.
We got time.
Yeah, sort of gathered that. I started just been an avid fisher, and a good mate of mine, Barry Taylor, was working for Hal in the Scarborough shop. And I fished and hung out with Barry a fair bit, and another mate of mine, Damien Sistrelli, was working in there at the time as well. And I just thought I wouldn't mind. I left school pretty early, didn't really do much. I worked, but I didn't have any profession or anything. And opportunity came up to do some rod building, and I was already doing that myself, just on like cartons of beer, cutting half with grooves and spinning it by hand and doing all that. So the opportunity came up to work for Hal. I worked for him for a year, and out of the blue, he said, I think I'm going to open a shop just to the staff. I've knock off having a few beers, I open a shop in Exmouth. And everyone's, and I just remember going up to him the next day and said, if you want to do it, I'm your man. I want to live there. We'd been fishing there a bit, going up since I was about 15 with Barry and a few other mates that could drive before I could drive. And I just said, I don't, I was born and bred in the country in the UK. What didn't really like the city, was pretty keen to go up there. So that's how it started. And I started off as an employee, excuse me, and then, got into partnership and then ended up buying him out. And the rest is history, I suppose. And now we're still ticking away.
So I didn't realise that Hal started that shop up there.
Yeah, we should move on to Hal straight away, I reckon, because he is somebody that I guess everybody looked up to back in the day. Very influential in the West Australian fishing industry. What was your relationship like with Hal, mate? What did he mean to you? Everybody says great things about him.
He was, he ended up being like a brother to me.
Yeah.
He gave me an opportunity in life as a undereducated kid that didn't really like school. No disrespect, but my parents were
your son's about to come down to boarding school in Perth. We were just talking about how important it is.
The problem with him though, he's a straight A student. He's got a scholarship to go there, so this one's not much worse either. He's got they get more A's on one report than their father did in their life. I can tell you, either of them.
Good on you, boys.
So with Hal, it was a situation where he gave me an opportunity, and I thought to myself, if I fuck this up, I'm going to end up working shit jobs the rest of my life. I'm going to make this happen. So I spent his money as if it were my own, and he helped me learn business. He was a pretty ruthless businessman, but in a way, one of the rules I still stand by today is he did teach me this, and a lot of people reckon he didn't, but he actually did say this to me. He wouldn't let on to many people. You don't make money out of your friends or your family. You make money out of people you don't know. And you don't rip people off. You just make an honest living. The thing is, in today's society is even worse with the internet. But it wasn't a thing when I started. But it's not about selling right anymore. The selling prices of things, you got these lovely dial reels in front of us. Like the price that they sell for is determined. It's working how to buy it right, and that's just negotiating with suppliers and working. We're part of Tackle World, so we get a chance to have an opportunity, and that's what it works on, and customer service and getting repeat customers, and you work on turnover and things like that. So that's how it all started with Hal, and he was a good man. He was sort of in that era we talked about before. Like he was the man that first bought braided line from America to WA, and we had fire line, I think it was, back in the day, and everyone's like, well, no one's going to use braid.
Yeah.
Now look at no one uses mono. Circle hooks for Billfish. I remember we went on a trip to the Rolly Shoals in the late 90s, and he's got these, mustard bloody 39960 circles with a gap about that big between the point and the shank, and we're like, how the hell are you going to catch a billfish on that? I read an article they're doing it in the States.
Gave it a go.
That was something you wanted to ask him about because he thought you were one of the early adopters of the circle for billfish in WA.
Yeah. Well, we were, because they were frustrating the shit out of me using like twin J hooks and just, rolling points over on Marudos or sharpened Duratin hooks or stainless hooks or whatever. And just especially with sails, trying to hook them in the mouth and on skipping gars and even on lures. And, we were catching 1 out of 6 if you were lucky. Like, it was real bad. And then that trip, he's not alive, so I can throw him under the bus. That particular trip, he's like first morning you get out there and everyone feels a bit crook because there's a bit of a boat, but not that anyone really got seasick. But you get, I think it was to Imperious Reef at dawn. It's glass calm, Gary Fortescue, then he put gars there, and everyone grabs their gar. He grabs a gar, grabs his circle hook, snaps its bill off, whacks it through his eye socket, put it on his Ep.25 spin rod, in the outrigger, bar alarm shut in there, and he goes, "Oh, I'm going for a shit." Just disappeared, and we're like, so the rest of us are all watching. Next thing you know, Pinhead comes up, eats it, no drop back, which is obviously that's not generally how the circle work. Ate it clean, hooked it up. He's come out pulling up his pants, goes, "There you go, boys. I told you," and caught the first sale of the ship. I was convinced. I'm like, I'm into circle hooks flat
I
out
don't know
now.
how much you're throwing him under the bus there. That's like proper legend spec.
That's how he was. He was that man. He could just, he catch
Got
fish
it
in the
done.
toilet bowl, literally. And then we obviously, the deal was, it was the refinement of working out when to free spool. And we used to do it on overheads, TLDs back in the day, I think we had, and a few other different bits and pieces. And obviously ratchets on, and they drop it sometimes if they weren't right on. So then we started trying to do it without the ratchet, and you get bird's nest if they piled on, especially little blacks would pile. So then we went to egg beaters.
Yep.
And that was where those Ahab 28s, because they were they were like the be all and end all back then. It was like that or a pen spin fisher, which did work, but obviously if you were catching a lot of fish, they'd tend to wear out after a while. But that's basically what we did, and that's how we started doing it. So you just have the bar alarm open, your finger on the line, watch him eat it. As soon as he opened his mouth, just put it down his neck, count to 3, close the bar alarm, hold your rod, and got him on. And then if they fell off, it was like, shit, we dropped one. And that's changed.
It was,
You're getting them to the boat. You just got to work out how to keep them on.
Yeah. And the difference was 9 times out of 10, circle hook right in the corner of the jaw. So it was better for the fish. You didn't get gut hooked. And not, you get the odd one on the snoot that would, slide off after a bit during the fight. Ironically, so you'd get a fair few from the outside in with the circle. If they were dog and bone in the gar, it would still work, but the circle would hit the corner of their mouth on the outside and pivot through.
Still do its job.
And you still catch them.
Yeah, right.
So are you using circles for like any other species as well at the moment? Like, what do you use, say, dollies and all that sort of stuff, for instance?
Yeah, if we're trolling lures, like, as in, little pushes and stuff around the fat or whatever, and the kids are catching dolphin fish, light gauge on, because they do a little bit of line class fishing for the tournaments and stuff, and they enjoy that. But if we're bait fishing, there's one fish that I don't use circles for, and that's Barra. If I'm live baiting for Barra.
There we go.
What hook do you use for Barra? Because we had this conversation recently. We just went up.
Gamakatsu SL12.
So we were up there recently, and truth be told, I'm speaking out of my lane here. I've never been barra fishing, but I believe in circle hooks. I think they're brilliant. They're awesome. We've proven it in our own fishing when we've gone out that they work. Simple as that. The proof's there. But up there, Birchie and Lek were like, SL12s, light gauge, Gamakatsu J hook. That's the one, because you get the hook penetration. Yeah, 10-0 through the jaw, obviously. But I'm there thinking, far out, like
they don't feed the
really
right way for a circle to work. That's my biggest theory.
With the implode feeding?
Because they implode feed that. So I find with a clunk like that, it's generally not held like, I don't know. It to me is, it's like they'll implode feed, but then they don't just swallow it because it has to go head first for the way it is. So 9 times out of 10, I reckon they hold it and they'll gently move off. You can feel them move off, and then you just sort of click the handle, bang, and the hook will be in the corner of the jaw. You get a few deep occasionally, but they're pretty tough fish.
Get them out of there.
You can. And those hooks rust in the blooming. You look at them, put salt air on those Gamakatsus, they do rust. So if you do have to leave one in, I don't think they last.
They're a pretty popular game fishing hook, aren't they? So everybody says carry a file.
They're a fly hook.
They're a fly hook, eh? Yeah, right. I want to move on to the Barra, but because I know that you love it, and it's one of my real passions as well. How quickly, just before we move on from the tackle world, how quickly did it take off up there? Was there a thirst for a tackle store up there?
Only in my opinion there was, and maybe Hal's, but no, we struggled. It was hard work. Like,
what year was this?
So 90 would have been 98.
Gotcha.
Because then we'd been open for a short while, taken on the world, we thought, and then Vance shut us down for 3 months because the town got fucking laxed by Cyclone Vance in March of 99, which was basically the start of what we would call the season, because Easter and Game Expo, Games wasn't in March at that point, actually, I stand corrected, but that's when we would start, Easter school holidays. And then at the end of sort of October school, September school holidays, you could pretty much shut the town down. Like, we didn't do any business between those holidays. You had maybe 4 or 5 days of trade over Christmas. That was
There is a few things I want to touch on with Exmouth, like just before we move on to those Barra, while we're on the subject.
I know I got heaps on Exmouth. Let's go.
So who were some of the people up there? Like, what was the fishing actually like in that town? There was obviously some people that would have lived there and that, you know, they would have known a lot. But, like, you've got to go up there, not only open a shop, but you've got to learn how to fish the area to advise your customers. What was it like trying to get your head around the fishing up there? Or was Hal sort of ahead of the curve already?
He helped, and he'd grown up fishing there a bit. And like I said, I'd probably been going there for about 4 years. Prior to that, maybe even 5, twice, even 3 times a year. Basically, whenever we got leave, we'd jump up in a car. And when we did like long weekends up there, we were that desperate, you know, just drive all night on a Friday night, fish Saturday, Sunday, maybe first thing Monday morning, then drive home all that afternoon to be back at work on the Tuesday morning sort of thing, just to get a few days. And basically, in them days, we were just fishing off the shore too. Like, we used to fish the oysters at the top of the Cape a lot.
Yeah.
So what sort of fishing were you doing? Just to
sports fishing, spangos, queenies, GTs, goldens, giant herring, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Who were you up there with? There's a few names that I think you would have been with.
I fished, mainly went with Barry Taylor, Damien Sestrelli, Peter Harvey. They were the sort of crew that we went with most of the time, Paul Michelli. But we used to see, I'm trying to think of his, Kurt Blanksby, Peter Walker used to fish up there a fair bit. Used to see them up there a fair bit. And at the time, he just sort of finished, but there was a guy called Dom Klemke who was doing the big GT thing. He still holds state and Australian land-based records, I think, for GTs off the oysters. They're on like 10 kilo. Excuse me, and things like that. So it was a point where no one was really sports fishing. Braid wasn't a thing. If you wanted to see stick baits, didn't exist. A popper was a GN, which was a big breed broomstick with a cup face and shitty hooks on it that used to fall off. And you know, the GT revolution is another story I could tell you for years to go on with that. But that was a process that we went through that was just something that we couldn't catch them. You know, we were catching 15 kilo fish and getting smoked by 20s. So we changed and tweaked a few things, started catching 20s and then the 25, and then it just monopolised from there. But that's where Hal came in a lot with that, because he had his finger on the pulse of the American and the Asian market, especially the Japanese. I mean, like I said, you've only got to look at the products you got sitting next to you. They're unbelievable. They're miles ahead of us still today with what they produce. And they had, you know, owner hooks and split rings that didn't straighten when you put any weight on them or anything like that. So that was part of the evolution. But yeah, the fishing was, we didn't have a shark problem. There wasn't any sanctuary zones.
I wanted to ask you about that.
And to be frankly honest with you, most people were reef fishing.
Yep.
There was a few reef fishing charters. The late George King had the Nord on. His younger son Raymond at the time, they had what they called the gun was their game, but they were doing a bit of game fishing. Peter Brock was one of their major clients at the time. Used to go up there and fish with them a fair bit.
Yep.
And Kerry Stokes was another one that used to fish up there a fair bit.
Yeah, right. I didn't know he liked fishing.
And other than that, reef fishing. Dudes just wanted to catch meat.
So how easy was it to convince your customers that this was like what they should be doing? But I was particularly, you spoke about GT fishing.
It was hard.
Yep.
Because no one was really into sports fishing back then. It wasn't really a thing.
Was it in any of the media, the magazines or anything?
So I wrote a lot of articles and did a bit of what you guys sort of, now that I try and hide under the nearest tree and not tell anybody anything or speak to anybody about anything anymore. But I think that's just an age thing that I've been through. But, I did it to promote a business that I wanted to, grow and have as my lifelong goal to be successful in business, I suppose. So, I wrote articles. I preempted. I thought, look at that. There's got to be a fish on that reef. We've got to work out how to catch them. And so I fished. I'll open the shop on my own, and I used to shut at 12 on Sundays, and then just fish from lunchtime Sunday till it got dark every week, and then after sometimes and before. I was still surfing a bit then as well. So often, normally before work, I'd go get a wave on the hinge. Make me worn out just thinking about it. It's what these two do now. Work all day. Go fishing in the evening, get up and repeat. And then Sundays, I have as a boat then. I think a 4.2 metre stacer with like a 40 horsepower Jono on the back or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I had. It was pretty
Right,
average.
passage.
Yeah, everyone's had a 4.2.
And,
I got one right now.
Yeah, well, we've still got one as well. Don't worry. And they're just that boat that gets you everywhere. Does a bit of everything from squidding to fishing to whatever you need to do. So yeah, it was tough, like to actually try and teach people to sports fish. But that's where you talk about like catching spangos on lures. Like that became a fad, and it was just people were obsessed with it.
Yep.
And there was people coming to Exmouth on week or 2 long trips, groups of young fellas, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to catch spangos on surface. And then it just sort of got to that point now where, people will specifically say, like, we've got crew at home that just target bluebone, for example, now on artificial crabs. And
on fly.
Even on fly as well. That's what they do. And that's all they want to do.
Like Deacon Plant and crew like that.
Yeah.
What about you fellas? So the young fellas here, like obviously frothing hard on it. What's your favourite fish to target at the moment?
Oh, it's got to be Barramundi. You just can't go past them.
Boy.
We spent hours in the hot sun at a spot that will remain nameless.
Yeah, good boy. Does change it well.
And we'll just eat oranges and just sit there, and then it will just take turns on who's just going to get the first bite, and you'll just get it. It would either be a mulloway, a barra, a shark, or a catfish. If you got a catfish, it was just negative points. If you got a barra, it would be stoked. If you got a mulloway, it would be stoked. But then if you got a catfish or a shark, it would be like, let's move the spot.
Nice. Lecker loves his barra, mate, so you've won him over there.
Can't really argue with that. Barra fishing and a bit of reef fishing, like jigging and dropping baits down and stuff for like cold trout, reds.
Yep.
But I do love barra fishing overall. Had some good fun barra fishing, yeah.
Is that because leading into this podcast, I'm not going to. I'll ask you about that spot off air as well. By the way, Dino. I reached out to Cole Fieldhouse, an old friend of mine, and I know he's an old friend of yours, and he sort of said he thinks barramundi's a real passion. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I think it's because they're not easy things to catch.
Yep.
We learned that the hard way, didn't we?
Yeah. And you can, like today's technologies, with live that you can basically, it's like watching TV. I'm only getting into that fairly recently, and I just went the other weekend, caught up with a quick mate doing a recce trip with the bus before I brought the boys down here up to north of Craft there, and you see the fish swim around on the TV, and we were hitting them with our lures, but they just didn't want to eat them. You could actually see a lure bounce off their back and they swim away. And but when they're on, I think that's what makes it that bit more challenging. It's like, they're a native fish, they're a spectacular fish. You catch them where it's not windy and choppy, which is my sort of game of soldiers these days. And they're just a remarkable fish, out of nowhere, grubby puddle, out comes a metre-long silver thing with a bright yellow. You just can't eat. They don't even look like that. They don't look like they should be living in a mud puddle, like
it's prehistoric, aren't they?
Pretty special,
I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but there are some good barramundi. I find the Pilbara, I say the Pilbara is awesome barra fishing if you know where you're going and know what you're doing. For you, that they do sort of make their way a fair way south, like into that Exmouth Gulf region.
We do catch them in the Gulf, yeah. The boys have caught some nice ones in there. I think size restriction wise, we don't tend to. I think of 1 metre, a few 90s. I've got 2 90s myself. A mate of mine, Ross, got a 91 once, but that was quite a while ago.
Yep.
In recent times, I think a lot of the fish we've caught have been sort of high 70s, low 80s, but it's tough, like you go out, target a barra in Exmouth, and you got to get everything right, from the wind to the tide to the water temp to them wanting to eat to doing everything, and you can quite often go and get nothing. But if you catch 2-3 barra for a day in Exmouth, you've had a sterling day. Like if you're going up Pilbara way, if you didn't catch 10 or 12 for a day, you probably felt a bit sort of gypped if you'd done the drive or whatever. And I suppose for us, it's being spoilt and setting your boundaries, so it starts to want to be meter fish, so we start fishing the Kimberley more and putting more time in trying to catch the, not the numbers as much, but we'll fish over fish. Sort of 85, when they start getting.
Have you fished the Pentecost?
I have, yeah.
Any joy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good river.
Yeah.
Really good river.
Big fish in there.
Yeah.
We just got back from there.
Oh, did you?
I popped my barra cherry at the Ivanhoe. got a good 111 centimetre barra. We just,
King of
got
the
back.
Pentecost right there, mate. That's it.
Let got that trophy made up for our little trip that I got an invite for this year, and the winner gets the trophy, so he made himself a trophy this year. So it was
I pulled a scale out of the fish before we let it go. That's 1.11 metre barra
nice.
scale there, boys.
Was that on a
That was on
on a bait or a lure?
was on a bait, SL12.
on this handline right here.
Oh, you were fishing with the great man, weren't
With
you?
Birch, yeah.
That doesn't quite count as much. Look at that. The 50-cent coin. Mate, that dude catches fish in
he
the muddy
catches the
puddles.
bottom, yeah.
Man, he's a machine.
He's a weapon. What's your favourite, before we move on from Barra, what's your favourite Barra lure?
It had been a squirrel for quite some time for me.
Tackle?
I do love chucking that Hank tune, that small suspending, in the snags when they eat it on the paws, that sort of thing. They troll well, but I'm just sort of changing into like working with plastics a bit more now. Swim baits are a thing, and prawns and all this. So I'm sort of trying to go with the flow, but I must admit it, them and a humble vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love a vibe from Mulloway too. Owning a tackle shop, you got exposure to so many lures, don't you? You got to try what's in the shop, so you
do
know
as
how
well.
to, how to.
I think
advise
it's just
people.
as well with the hard, but like trolling catch and barra is good. The clunk is, it's like some punching you in the nose sometimes if you haven't had a bite for a few hours. But again, with the technology now, we started with the 360, where you see them and the sonar's going around and you could sort of pinpoint. Now with live, it's ridiculous. But I think cast and catch and barra just has that bit more of an edge than trolling.
Yeah.
And that's where we don't even mind live baiting. If we mark the hell out of them and we've cast everything, trolled them, jigged them, vibed them, and they won't eat, I'm like, right, boys, let's get the casting out. These fuckers are going. Like, we're going to get the biggest mullet you can literally cast on a bait caster, and then you start clunking the big ones. So,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's just about catching fish, right? Yeah.
End
That's
of
it.
the day.
Casting, A1, lures, A1, but at the end of the day, you're there to get a job done, aren't you?
I'm not a snob. We are.
Yeah.
We would rather catch stuff on lures, but if it comes to not catching anything, I'm like, right, go get the cast net. The problem is, like Dean said, that when you do these days as well, especially the creeks at home, or even in the Pilbara now, you catch so many sharks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That
Oh,
before
really?
we move on from like not being a snub, Whitey summed it up, I reckon. It's the old school, similar generation to you. It was like, we asked him what he specialised in, and he was like, I just specialise in catching fish, mate. So I don't give a shit how I do it. Yeah. Which for me was like spot on. But
It is a pretty good way to put it.
the sharks, I want to ask you about them, because you said when you first went to Exmouth, it wasn't really a shark problem.
No.
How much has that changed the fishing up there? Because like, I'll be honest, I've been there a couple of times, fish for mackies, all that sort of stuff, and it was a nightmare trying to get the fish into the boat.
To say what it's changed, it is like two different worlds now.
Yep.
It wasn't a problem to the stage where you never hooked a fish and thought, I got to be careful of the sharks. We got more fish eaten by big cod back in the day which still does happen today. But like, that was your thing. If you were reef fishing, sometimes mackies on edge, the big gropers would come up and snot your
That's
mackerel.
all you had
So
to worry about.
there was never a shark problem, but they were still commercially shark fishing in those days. They were still long lining. There was, long liners bringing swords into the marina and stuff back in the day there as well. So, and I'm not saying that I'm against commercial fishing, but obviously, in recreational areas, keeping everything under moderation does tend to help. It is the balance. But we had this conversation yesterday, Kalvin, with your uncle, didn't we? Even Dean as well. Like just with the closures and everything else, and I'm not sure that the current fishing hierarchy, let's use that, government will maybe the word we should use, but the people that make the decisions, I don't think the information's correct. I don't think that the studies and the Whitey probably told you that as well. Like, I don't think it's quite where it needs to be. I don't think we're in as dire straits as it's we're led to believe we're in. I think if it is, it should have been managed earlier better. But unfortunately, the society we live in today, you can't kill a shark for some reason.
Because they're big and friendly and don't eat you and bite you, apparently.
But like I said, left school, 15, didn't have any degree, didn't have anything. So you've got the food pyramid, right? Doesn't change size. It's just what's in the food pyramid and where the line goes. So you've got the apex predator, is the only thing that isn't harvested by anything. Man, anything else. Maybe a killer whale might eat one every now and again. Who knows? But realistically, they do not have a single predator.
They die of old age. That's about it.
So they eat everything. So how does common sense think that the thing that can eat everything and dominate the ecosystem more than anything else should not be the only thing? And we harvest what? Finfish, crustaceans, cephalopods, coral, shellfish, mate. And then if you start want to go, whale sharks eat plankton. Like there's not a living organism in the ocean that's not consumed by something else except sharks.
Yeah.
But yet, man, society, head and shoulders will not let us. I'm not talking wiping them out, cull them, all this rubbish.
Balance. I think balance is the key
But
word.
they're
in it
also
all,
a
isn't it?
viable commercial target too, like fish and chip shops. You know, you could
Well, they are now, especially
Yeah.
down this neck of the wood. These people are going to be struggling. So
Yeah. It's an interesting topic, and for some reason it seems to get really touchy when the subject gets brought up.
it's a political statement now. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with the ecosystem or the balance. Like you said, the big friendly shark, I don't know what it is. It's governments are too frightened to make a decision on it because it's politically motivated.
And even with when the drumline stuff was happening off Perth, it was like, geez, it was a topic of conversation. Like it was dominated by radios. There was protests. There was everything. For me, I'm concerned that what you're getting now is going to become more of an issue. So when we do go back out fishing, when it opens back up down, particularly through the Coral Coast where I'm from, never really had an issue with sharks at all. I've only ever been bitten off probably only a handful of times. I don't fish a lot of it out deeper where a lot of guys do get bitten off, but in recent years, I've had probably more shark encounters than in the decade before. So
Are they like eating your dewies and your snapper and stuff?
Yeah,
Oh,
we both hooked a dewie earlier in the year, and all of a sudden the rod just went super heavy for both of us at the exact same time. A shark had come through eating his dewie, then eating my dewie, and we were both fighting it at the same time. So it's pretty gnarly. And even Tommy,
Are they whalers?
yeah, Bronzy.
Yeah.
So Tommy Miller, Sammy Kalvin, and Ryan Turner all went out yesterday off the Capes, I think, to go kingfish and sambo fish in 65 metres of water all the way down south, and they had to leave because the sharks were so bad.
I saw the photos. Tommy texted them to me earlier.
Yeah,
Well,
so it's all the way up and down the coast. But one thing I'll chime in with is, so when the wire ban came in for the metro area, so basically it was an effort to stop shark fishing in Perth. And you know what, I kind of understand it. It's not really great for tourism when you see all these Asian people coming and visiting here. There's a big industry for that. Tourists coming from wherever they're coming from, they see sharks. It's not good for tourism.
I get
let's
it.
face it.
I do understand.
doesn't mean they're not out there.
Exactly. So the easy thing for them to do was blame the shark fishermen for chumming up the water. That was the whole narrative that the government was pushing and that Fisheries was pushing, and we're going to ban wire so you can't shark fish because you can't catch them without wire, right? So I was actually at the Fall Drive show, and a fisheries lady pulled me up and said, "Oh, you look like a fisherman." I said, "You're right, I am." She goes, "So how do you feel about, fisheries and stuff like that?" And I said, "Well, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you is with the wire ban. What's the go? Now I can't target mackies off the rocks at the marinas where you can only do it a couple of months a year. You've closed the at the time they'd just put the first set of rules in place, new rules for the demersals. You're blocking out another fishery that I could have had as an alternate from the demersals. So what's the go?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm not having this conversation, blah, blah, blah." Anyway, they made a post on their Facebook like the following year, "We're going to be at the Fall Drive show. We'd love to talk to you." And I was a bit of a smart ass. I wrote, perhaps send some fisheries officers that are capable of having a nuanced conversation this time. They commented back, and to their credit said, "Oh, can we get your number? We'd like to give you a call." And this lovely young lady called me, explained my concerns to her, said, "Look, she was a fisherwoman as well. The wire band's not going to do anything. The sharks are there because they're there to eat the stingrays, particularly north of Hillary's here. It's a giant sand flat that's full of weed, and they come in there and eat the stingrays." And I explained that to her, and she said, "Look, this is all about how it looks." She openly said it to me. She goes, "The fishermen are loud, but there's nobody louder than the greenies." She said, "They write to us every day. We get letters, we get complaints. They're vocal, and we have to do something about it. You can't ignore it because it's part of the broader government. You've got a fisheries minister, you've got,
but they're the
environmental
minority,
people."
aren't they?
It's just
Well,
like,
unfortunately, politics gets involved, and that makes life hard for a lot of stuff. And reality is there's probably people there that don't want people fishing in that area. So
Yeah.
they see it as a swim beach or whatever, and they think that, you know, people fishing, the people that aren't as educated around the whole topic think that they're bringing fish in, but the fishermen don't fish where there's no fish.
No.
This
that
is
is
where
one thing I
science
know.
comes into play. It can't only work one way. It can't only be to prove one narrative. Science needs to be used to prove both narratives. And if you just look at some of the guys in Perth that are flying drones around for a hobby and taking drone photos, there's like a mascot shark that they call Trevor that swims the whole coast. It's not one shark. There's hundreds of the fucking things swimming up and down the
Are they
coast.
white?
There was a white off Scarborough today, but there was,
Oh, really?
yeah, big boy. But the tiger sharks come in. A dog nearly got eaten the other week, and it got caught on drone footage. So there's nobody fishing there anymore because he's banned it. So what's your answer now? All of a sudden, everybody's really quiet. Fishermen aren't the issue ananymore, but let's
still
not talk
humans
about
getting
it.
eaten by sharks flat out around this country at the moment. There's one a week at the moment. You're seeing stuff on the media.
Yep.
That there's people. I mean, there was somebody got eaten, but nibbled on up the coast here, but it was a wobbly going with it. But I mean, there's still more and more humans going in the drink, and you've got the apex predator breeding like God knows business, and they're
more
just
and more whales. There's everything, so they are making their way up the coast. They're well fed. Their food's protected.
It is a risk you take, but
it is an interesting point. And for you up there, and I want to ask the boys this as well. Another form of fishing for you is actually jumping in the water. So the spearing. Have you had any encounters with the sharks up there? And boys, do you spear as well?
They do, and they've had some ordinary ones where we've had situations where I've looked at both of them and they got tears in their eyes in their mask.
Really?
It's intimidating.
Just you know, or they're like, we've been at that fad and there was, you know, 8-10 kilo dolphinfish swimming all around them, but every time you shot a fish, you would have to fend off the whalers, and it's like I was out there with a mate of mine, Marcus, and his missus, and the boys.
That Marcus Longhurst?
Yeah. And we just
good fisherman.
Yeah, very good fisherman. And the boys just went, I'm not pulling the trigger. They were happy to be in the water because they weren't really getting.
So it's just when you shoot the fish, and then that's when it's the
or
hectic.
if you're carrying one.
Yep.
Like I remember that time recently at the Murins, I think it was earlier this year or late last year. It was a situation where I was carrying a blue bone, and I think Dean or Cal, one of the boys had shot, you know, like a 4 kilo black spot tusky, good fish that you want to take that home and eat it. And they were like literally trying to rip it out of my hands. And because the boys are swimming next to me, I just said, right, you ready? And I just piffed it. And then they just got it. You know, there was like 10 whalers between 4 to 6 foot maul it. And then we were probably, you know, 100 yards from the boat. Like,
best you got to make your way back to the.
We just got to get out.
Best we swim back. Yeah, and you move.
Yeah.
You move.
I've seen a mate do that, like up at the Monties, same thing. Deeks, we've spoken about him on here before. And we were just swimming along this ledge and you couldn't see the sharks. And then as soon as he shot a trout, they just come out of nowhere. And I couldn't believe it. But yeah, he was doing like similar to what you said, trying to protect this fish, and they were buzzing him. I was like, mate, fuck that.
I've had a few gnarly ones as well. I've had a run in with a big tiger up at Nalu, heaps of bull sharks, oceanics too. They're fucking gnarly.
Yeah, they've got bad attitude. They're like the teenage delinquent, those things. The silver tips, mate, they do.
Yeah.
That's what we get around the fads out wide sometimes.
So the boys will jump in at what's the best fish you boys have speared?
I have shot quite a few good dollies. I remember one time a thing on the sharks. I've always wanted to shoot a wahoo and we were at the dolly spot and there were wahoo. It was the coolest thing ever. I reckon I was at schools of 50, but they were not huge. And if you could see a good one, it would have been rare. And then I remember I saw like the biggest one I'd seen all day. And it was so not fly. I literally had the gun touching its forehead. And then I look under me and the biggest whaler is just staring at me, waiting for me to shoot the gun. And I'm just like, it's not worth it. It's just going to take the fish's life. Even though I was going to do it, it would be a lot less painful because I was that close. It just would have been gone. And then it was putting me in danger, and Kalvin was near me, and Dad was over there, and Marcus was there. It's just not worth the risk. But, yeah, back to my best fish. I don't know, I've loved shooting trout. I shot a big barramundi cod I think
that's pretty cool.
4.95 it went kilos.
Wicked.
I think that was what it is.
Yeah, it was
something
just under 5. And we filled it all up and the boys like, yeah, it's sick. And then one of the lads comes out of the shop while we're doing it, goes, that would have been the adult state record. Dean just looks at me and goes, thanks, Dad. And I was like, as I just took the last fillet off.
Yeah, that was a shame, but you know,
It still
everything's.
we got some good photos. It was really good to eat too, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, that's what matters really.
Yeah, wicked.
Dino, how old are you, dude? Just before you go to
I am
Kalvin.
11. I turned 12 on the 18th of March.
This year.
Nice.
Mate, it's a clear head for
So-
a bloody 11-year-old
Yeah,
to think
props
like
to you,
that.
mate. But this is like, not that we have anybody that isn't a fisherman listening to this podcast, but that just goes to show you what Dino just said. You care about the fish. You're a fisherman and we are killing fish. We're eating. We're putting food on the table. But you care about the fish, mate. So props to you. And that's what people don't see. That's what these greenies that are allowed, they do not see that. If we don't have fish around, if we go and get rid of them all, we don't have a hobby. We don't have a lifestyle. So there's a little lesson that I just wanted to point out there. Good on you, mate. That was awesome. Kalvin, best fish you've speared.
Well, I got a couple. It's sort of hard to choose between the two. 72 is my best cold trout on the gun. And
Nice,
I
nice.
got a bluey that was
Got me thinking 6'4", 6'5" kilos, something.
yeah,
6,
6.4.
just under 6.5. Yeah, it was.
I've
Wicked.
never caught a blue bone. They go pretty hard, don't they? They're like
Yeah, it's
bulls, hey?
Yeah,
That's
they're real
not-
fly.
So that's a black spot. We call it the
Black
same
spot
as
tusk fish,
bit
eh?
different from the
Blue bone.
blue bone. What do you call them? Bull chin down this way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he did real well. I did, mate, because obviously I keep a close eye on them when we're in the water, not just the sharks, but obviously, but they're both ample swimmers anyway. But this particular day, jumped in. It was actually, I think it was pretty cold because Dino was like, because there's nothing of him too. He was just like, his lips go blue, so he was like, didn't want to get back in. So Cal's just jumped in. It was the last blooming dive of the day, and I didn't. He only swam 30 yards from the boat, and he said, Dad, I got a massive bluey on. So I'm like, quick, jump in. Dean and I swim over there, and he did it all on his own, and he was just ripping it out of this rock hole, and I just went, oh my God, like it was. Yeah, like I'm talking, it's I don't think we ever measured it. We probably should have done, but it's a big fish.
That's wicked.
Yeah, well, it might have been over 700. Like it was like a 15-pound blue bone.
How
Like
good's
it's a
that?
proper.
Did you know it was massive when you were about to
Oh,
shoot it?
it looked big in that. I'd never seen one that big. Like not even on someone else's gun. Like there's the biggest one I've ever seen underwater in real life.
That's wicked.
It was
Yeah.
very cool.
What about you, Gatesy? Because I know you like your spear fishing.
Yeah, I do. I probably prefer it more than line fishing. So when I actually talk about the Dewey, I've shot a few fish, actually not line caught since the Dewey, but I don't think I've caught much on line since then.
What's the last one you speared then?
Wahoo.
Yeah.
Would have been out, on the fads, just getting wahoo out there. Probably would be the latest sort of thing.
Are they one of your favourite eating fish up that way?
As pelagic wise, them and mackerel for sure. I know
Yep.
dolphin fish. We shoot a few and we eat them, and the boys take a few to their mum and stuff as well. But I find dolphin fish, you could flip a coin. Some of it's really good, and some of it's real soft. I don't know whether it's just
I like a kingfish.
yeah. Well, I don't know. We
They
don't
get
really get it.
parasites,
So
or-
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
disease that they get. We found one. I shot like a 11.9 kilo one, and it had like all mushy insides, like
That's
proper
right. It did.
mush.
Yeah,
It's some
right.
sort of disease. Mum told us about it once.
And like it actually had like the flesh was like you could literally.
Nothing worse, eh?
It had been in the slurry, and you could literally just turn it. It was
Put
like
your
squishing a
finger
piece
through
of cotton wool. It just folded in half, like there was no meat. It was just
Yep.
collapsed. It was like it was air. It was weird. It was I
So what's
forgot
the-
about that one. That was a good fish too, by the way.
What's the best fish you speared?
I've shot a few marlin off the flasher and stuff, just
Have
like
ya?
black marlin. I got a 39 kilo black off a flasher that as a young fella. That was pretty cool. Shot a Scott Reef. There's this myth of the meter trout. That's another story as well. But like they don't exist. Well, I've seen one, and that was my mate Aaron Lewis caught it about 110 meters jigging for dogtooth in Fiji. And if you see a meter trout, it's about a meter round. Like they're just
That's football.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
And more.
they're the the oceanic. I shot a it was 93 or 94 centimeter one at Scott Reef. And I was pretty happy with that just because
Wicked.
like grow up shooting trout. So that was pretty cool.
Trout are one of my favourite fish.
I've never caught
They're the
one.
best eating fish in the
You tick
ocean,
it off.
in my view.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a bit more about that at the end of it.
So yeah, that and shot. I've been lucky enough to shoot a few dogtooth, but I've only 33 kilos, the best one I've ever shot. Never shot a real big one. But
is that the big and line everything? That's the biggest one you've got?
It probably is actually. I've had a couple of bigger ones on fishing wise, but a nice one got eaten at the Rolly Shoals by a shark. I've seen a couple of good ones caught, but yeah, I've never seen a massive dog like. I've probably just haven't put myself in that position that often. I've seen two monsters underwater. One will haunt me till the day I die because I fresh aired it.
No.
I just shit myself, just got it all wrong.
Yeah.
And bad judgment.
Where was that big one?
That was at Scott Reef as well.
Yeah. How big do you reckon it was if you were to have a punt?
Would have been over 100 pound, would have been over 50 kilo, I reckon.
Jeez.
Yeah, the proper one.
How long's that? That'd be.
I'd have to be 4.5, 5 foot long because they actually don't get round like a yellowfin or a southern bluefin or anything. They're quite sort of slender, I suppose. So.
Yeah, well, they are mackerel, aren't they?
Yeah.
Speaking of yellowfin, you've got a record for yellowfin on 60 kilo. Is that right?
Yeah, that was actually
Walk us through that.
More ass than class. That was. That was a day. Eddie from Peak Lawler was out smacking the blues as he does, and he just give us a ring and said, "Yeah, look, there's a heap of yellowfin, like they're bait balling, they're busting up big time. You get out of here." So we really just dropped everything, jumped in the boat. It was glass, went out there, and tried to get one on the spear. I sort of had a half a shot at one. I can't remember if I actually pulled the trigger or not. I know it was quite a few years ago now. I might well have done. I can't remember. But yeah, again, it was just like, it was sort of in range, sort of wasn't. And I'm probably hesitated if I'd. You can't really bum rush them like they're sort of hard with them when they were 30 to 40 kilo. They were cannons. So we're still working on that. I'm going to get me 100-pound yellowfin before I'm too old and I snuff it. Mark's and I are working on that at the moment, trying to get, the kids are pretty keen. He shot a nice one with the boys. It was, shot it with a reel gun. It was about 20, was it 25 kilo or something?
Yeah,
Come up on the flash.
24.
24. It's nice.
So
Numbers matter,
no
right?
floats or anything.
Yeah.
No boys.
That was
And
was pretty
you want
cool.
to do it local?
I want to do it at home. Yeah, definitely. So, look, it's there's certain fish that have more meaning than others. I don't, where you are, who you're with, what you've been going through, and there's just certain fish that whether you spear them or you've been hunting them or you catch them, it's like there'll be certain fish in your life that just
That's the
one.
lot.
That's the one.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. It's not always about the size of it. It's who you're with, how your day went. I think Tommy spoke about that. He gave us a really good answer about that. Yeah.
Well, he's a bit. I mean, he's like me. He's a bit younger than me, but it's all about his young fella at the moment as well. Young Joey's bloody into it all the time. So he's only this big, and I said, mate, you wait till he gets a bit older. Because Tommy still fishes. Well, I mean, he's looking after his biggest kid. He's looking after Dusty most of the time now. The old man.
Well, that's who it is. He was talking about the fish that meant the most to him was with his old man. So
that's one of the other benefits of fishing as well that probably gets overlooked with all this other stuff as well. It's like it's generational. It's a connection there with your kid, with your grandparent, with your dad, and it continues to, it's knowledge getting passed down through generations. What you're doing right now for your kids, mate, I love it. I respect the hell out of it. Like you said, you're not catching many fish yourself these days, but it's just all about getting them onto them.
They make me.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just go, nah, it's your turn. We've had enough. But I mean, we've had days where we're reef fishing and either one of Dino's mates or one of Kalvin's mates or both, they might have a mate each on board. And some days my fingers are like, the sharks are eating shit, but they're smacking trout and reds and jigging in shallow water. And I'm just tying bloody wind-ons and Albrights as fast as my fingers can move, And eventually the kids will say, right, that's it. We're going to have some lunch. Just let Dad catch up for us. There's like 5 rods in the rock lunch, all just lying blowing in the breeze. I'm like, God, again.
Bring them up, Dad. Yeah. We'll have some lunch and when you're ready to go again, just give us a yell.
But they're actually good. Like Calv's especially, he's been learning his knots. Dino's been is having a bit of a crack. Like they can tie hooks and stuff on now, but I mean, it's like trying to tie 30 or 40 pound braid to 100-pound leader to put it on a jig to rip a 70 centimetre trout or 65.
And then to get eaten by a shark.
Yeah.
Mate, they still do catch. We do enjoy that. They do the shallow water reef fishing. The main reason we fish in that sort of 30-metre country is you can let everything go if you don't. We tend to keep trout and reds, and we get a lot of rankin cod, but you can catch a rankin cod, and they'll pick it now. They'll go, oh yeah, oh no, this is a cod.
Yep.
Flight's different.
Well, they go hard at the start, but then they're just that bit of a head. They don't head bang like that. Like the Spangos and the big red Spangos.
Like a snapper and a Dewey sort of thing.
Very similar.
Yeah.
So they know that they can bring the rankin up, same sort of thing. And if you can see him, if the sharks aren't a problem, you can see the rankin, you see the bubbles coming up. If you let the bubbles hit the surface before the fish, same as a Dewey, 9 times out of 10 you can bear them in and they'll go back down. So we don't mind eating rankin, but we're more. It's not like if somebody said you want some trout or rankin, you're going to take trout every time. So we're lucky enough with our licenses. If 3 of us go fishing, we can bring 3 trout home. Yeah, that's all we need.
Job done.
Nice.
Everything else goes back in the drink that way. So I can't be fucking filleting them either. That's one thing. They're not that keen on filleting. They help me cry back, clean boats and all that. But filling, they're like, man, I don't want to waste it, Dad. I reckon that's just getting out of control.
They'll grow up, mate. They'll learn
Another
to
rite
love
of passage.
It is. Filleting now, man. I love filleting. It's like form of meditation for me. I'm happy to sit there by myself and fillet all the fish.
If you got a good filleting station and good set of knives, it's
I think that's the secret, having a good blade or 2 to do it.
Yeah,
it's good if you got your crew as well. They get it in the bag, cryovac it in the freezer.
Production line.
Doesn't make it painful that way, does it?
Yeah. There you go, boys. That's what you got to work on this year, 2026.
Yeah, I just don't trust myself. I just don't want to lose any fingers.
You have to get one of those metal gloves out of
it's
the
all good,
Yeah,
mate. If you lose a finger, it's fine. Just don't lose a fillet. That's all.
So, have you before we go? Do you have a irukandji story, like a box jellyfish story? Was that Cole Fieldhouse that was telling me that?
Might have been Cole told that. So I've been done, but I got off pretty light. But a mate of mine, Reef, got done quite bad. And
but before you go into it, for listeners, a irukandji box jellyfish is like one of the most deadly creatures in the ocean.
They are. They're about the size, the ones where you get about the size of your little fingernail.
What do you mean? The whole thing?
Yep. Just the head, and they'll have long tentacles, but you can barely see them.
Yeah. What time of year is this?
Quite often it's around whale shark season, so it's that sort of March, April time where it's tourism season.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of seasons where it was bad and a few people got done. So basically when they do, they upset your respiratory system. I don't know, but you basically can get you cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
And they can upset your respiratory system that you hyperventilate to the extent where you can cause bleeding on your lungs. And you'll actually start coughing up blood and stuff because your breathing's that erratic. So it didn't quite happen to Reese that way. I don't think he coughed up blood, but he was like real bad. And we had to bring him in ambulance and get him and spent about 2 or 3 days in
How
hospital.
How far out were you?
Peak Island. So what's that? From Bundeegi, it was 15 nautical miles sort of thing.
And did you know what had happened straight away?
No, but one of the other chaps, Nick, on board said, I reckon he's been done by irukandji. He'd seen it before. I had no idea at the time.
Yep.
And the funny thing was we've been spearing all day and it was late in the day. I'd taken off my full wetsuit, gloves, hood, everything. So I was sitting in my boardies and just cracked a tin thinking we'd shot a few fish. Reese goes, and he goes, man, there's big green jobbies everywhere. And he goes, man, that's friendly as. I'm like, kidding me. So I've gone in my shorts, gun, gloves, mask, snorkel, fins, weight belt, no suit. Alongside him, he's still fully kitted up, and we're both diving next to each other, shot a jobby each, and then he's come up and gone, oh, man, I don't feel so. And it hit him, I think from memory, it was either the heel or the wrist. He had this tiny gap between like a glove on the end of his suit or his booty in the end, and I was basically nude and didn't get touched. So it's just how life works.
Yeah,
and it didn't nearly kill him, but he was very crook for days.
Yeah, wow.
And then, fortunately, knowing that, they talk about putting vinegar, right? So from that day on, I've always carried vinegar in the dive bag. So with vinegar, with like the ones that wrap all the tentacles and you get that, and that you can't peel them off and you got to pull it. So these are different. You don't even know you've been hit. Like there's no real sting or anything. It's just the feeling. And the only reason I know that is because I got done. I was down at Coral Bay, and you can only shoot like spangos and mackerel and stuff. We were down there chasing mackerel, and we got a spot where we get some nice reds down there, and it was crystal clear back of the reef. And there's a couple of big spangos, bang, shot a spango, come up to the back of the boat, and I looked and I went, fuck, what's going on? And I sort of just passed, I said, grab this, and I passed the gun and shit. I pulled myself on the back of the boat, and then I started getting like spasms, and my eyes were a bit bleary and whatever, and I knew straight away, I said, fuck, I'm not right here. They got me in the boat, And then I was like, all of a sudden, my right arm feels like you had this massive pain in it, and then it would stop, and then you could almost feel my description of the poison flowing around. I remember one point I had it in my balls and I was absolutely doubled over. It was just going through
everywhere
my system. So all I did as well, I had a tiny little red mark on my lip. The boys go, I reckon it's got you on the lip. You got this big red spludge. So I poured a heap of vinegar on it and wiped it. So what it does, the poison or the whatever it is sits on your skin, and your skin continues to absorb it. So that the vinegar takes it off. It's already in your system.
Oh, it
doesn't keep coming in.
Yeah.
So I was screwed. They got me back. We were probably 20 miles south of Coral Bay, down there fishing and carrying on and spearing and diving and bloody cray diving. So, but it took them quite a while to get me back. But by the time we got back to Coral Bay, I kept making them stop though, because it was a bit choppy. And I was like, at a point I was like, stop. So I just got to lie still for a minute, and I just have to lie in the boat and just sort of, deal with it. And they kept eyeing me. By the time we got back to Coral Bay, I was pretty much okay. And then by the time we got back to Exie, I was like it never happened.
So it's that immediate, like that.
Instant.
Yeah. So they reckon was it Tim Barlow sort of mentioned that with a lot of the snorkelers and that are up there that, they seem like they drown or whatever. He has a theory that
it could be.
Yeah.
They've just been done and it's taken them over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So there you go, people. A little tip for you. Keep a bottle of vinegar on the boat.
Always.
I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want the boys to pull out the old piss trick on the.
Well, they reckon that's the other one
on your lip, though. There's no vinegar. I got you covered.
Is that the story where the old dude's fucking having a pee and he gets bit on the cock by the snake, and his mate rings the doctor, find out what you got to do, and the doctor goes,
you got to
suck the poison out. He goes, what do the doctors say? You're going to die, mate. Sorry, mate.
How good of a mate are you, Lex?
You're going to die, so I wouldn't be telling you. I'll be doing the same thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So the other gnarly incident that you've been involved with, Gatesy, was when that fella Ross, who actually worked for the same company that I work for, keen marlin fisherman, went overboard. It was on 60 Minutes and everything. He was stranded out in the middle of the ocean. What was your involvement with that? Were you the one that pulled him?
No, I didn't pull him out. We
sort
of, myself and the crew that I was fishing with on in Deep, our boat at the time, we sort of instigated the search. And
tell the whole story.
What happened?
Just
so
after
anyone
Christmas,
that wants to see it, they can go on YouTube. I think like if you type in Exmouth Marlin Rescue or something like that,
all the rest of it.
Whatever.
He's a good fellow. We used to call him Papa George. His boat was called Papa George, so his nickname was Papa. It was his granddad, whatever. Same thing, introduced him to fishing. Mad Kiwi fella. And just obsessed with blue marlin fishing. And he had heaps of mates and shit, but he frothed on doing it solo. So he used to go out and film them and put them on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. And it wasn't something that he'd done once or twice. Like he was doing this a lot. Anyway, so this particular day, I went out. I can't remember exactly who I had on board. I think I had Kevin Lashford from Broome, my mate Lex, and another mate of mine, Cole. There was somebody else, but I can't remember anyway. So, but it was glass and the blues were on. I think we'd gone 442 by 10 o'clock. And he was fishing out of a trailer boat. And I noticed one of his riggers were up, and the boat wasn't really moving, that sort of stuff. Sorry, that's my phone ringing. I can feel it vibrating.
Can't even hear it. All good.
That's all right, as long as you can't hear it. I think we hooked the blue, dropped it, done another Yui over this canyon, over this edge, hooked another one, caught it, and he was still on. I'm thinking, he must be on a good fish. He's been going a little bit. Maybe we should go and have a look.
So he'd called a fish in.
No, because it wasn't a comp. He could just tell that he wasn't. The boat hadn't moved for like an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. And one rigger, he stood it up so he could fight the fish with that rigger being out the way. So you could just tell that something, he wasn't trolling. And it was, like I said, it was glass calm, so you could see that he was stationary for quite some time. Anyway, we sort of started getting over there because I'd been calling him, and there was another mate of mine. What ended up being a mate, I can't think of his name at the moment. What's the young fella that hangs out with mum sometimes? Liam. And he was fishing with another guy up there, Lou, as well, and they knew him. And anyway, so everyone's calling Papa George, how you going? No response. So after about 2 hours, we thought, we better go and check. He might have fucking passed out on the boat.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got there at the same time that Liam and Lou got there. Can't see anyone on the boat. And like I'm on the bridge looking down from the Blackwatch and shit. So I'm like, fuck. So I said, Kev, you take the wheel. I'm going to go in. So I jumped in. Liam coming from the other boat, jumped no one on board.
Oh, your heart must have sunk.
I thought, face is not good. So we're like spinning out. And what was bizarre, so there was a GoPro on the
Rocket launcher.
fucking still recording. And well, we thought it was recording. It had a red light flashing, but he forgot to put a fucking SD card in it. So we could.
Oh, you would have got the whole thing. Yeah.
So then we would have had a bit more of an idea of what was going on. So we tried to play, and there was no SD card in it.
Yeah.
And then, plotters on, and you could see where the boat's just been doing circles. And there's an 80 wide and right in the, with no line on it, just empty in the holder. Like, fuck, spin out. And then his harness.
Completely spooled.
Like a brand new reel sitting in the cupboard in the shop, you know what I mean? Not an ounce of line on it. Not even the knot, nothing.
So you're starting to put things together here?
So we're like, fuck, what's happened here? At this point, no, we're just trying to work it out because it's all a bit of a shock. Like you find a boat, 25 mile off the coast, no one in it. There's somebody you're thinking, Jesus, what have we've been having a fat time fishing.
Emotional roller coaster.
Yep.
So I'm like, righto. So by this time, started calling a few of the local boats, said, look, I've just found poppers empty, rung Sea Rescue. I said, we need to get a plane up. Oh, well, and it was like this, so there's no whale shark, so that being a remote small country, not blaming anyone, but they're like, we can't get a plane, can't afford it, can't make it happen.
Like,
so there's a fucking dude in the piss out here.
Figure it out.
What?
Like get the phone in a
Well,
plane.
this is your husband, your
stressing.
son, or anyway. So to cut a long story, every other fisherman known to man on the piss that day pulled their gear and started coming in. So I said, right, gave everyone the coordinates where, and you could see where he'd been trolling. You could see where he'd been fighting a fish and and then you could see all of a sudden on the plotter where the boat had just been doing, because it was just in gear, and it had just been idling round. Just in gear, in circles. Just the rotation of the propper turned the outboard enough that it wasn't not tight, but it had been doing doughies. So we've gone back there, we've had a look around, we're thinking, geez, he's obviously in the drink. Still couldn't work out why there was no line on the reel. We're thinking maybe he's been spooled and he's tried to grab the line, and then obviously something's happened. But he didn't have his harness on, and his black magic belt and all that shit was just unclipped and lying in the bottom of the boat.
Yeah.
They were like, you were fighting the fish, you think you would have gone in. And then we're thinking maybe that's his spare one and he's in the piss with the other rod and reel.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Because there was only 2 rods and reels. And then I was remembering, hang on, I think he only runs 2 because he's fishing solo. Anyway, to cut it rather long, so we started setting up a bit of a grid and some of the bigger charter boats. By this time it's, mid to late afternoon, maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock, something.
Counting down.
And we're thinking, right, this is what we'll do. So I said, there's 2 rigs there. He may have fucking tried to swim for the rigs. They were probably 3 to 4 mile away.
Yep.
So dude driving my boat went to one of the rigs and was fishing. Another dude went to the other one. Another dude was out further wide, which was Innkeeper, one of the game boats, local game boats. And but he came in from a completely different angle after we'd been doing this grid search and fucking just literally fucking ran him over, and there he was.
Just draw it so he's coming in for. And so with you, your decision making is like, right, I've got to come up with a plan for everyone almost here because obviously experienced on the water, you're putting 2 and 2 together. He's fallen over. The boat is starting to do circles. This is where we're looking. Is there current and tide and everything ripping at this point in time?
No, fortunately, no.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was as flat as your table in front of us. It was glass. So, but it was just starting to get, as when that afternoon sun comes, you get that little bit of a ripple when it's still a glorious day, but it was just getting that bit of a glare, that little bit of a ripple. So we sort of gave, from memory, the original mark put in the middle of the plot, we did 2.5 nautical mile points for each quarter, gridded that out, and then we basically had boats going one way and boats going the other way.
How many boats are involved, do you reckon?
I reckon there was 10 at this point.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's all hands on deck. Whoever was out there.
So I got to say there was Peak had punters on board. They pulled the pin. Innkeeper pulled the pin. So there was charter boats out there with paying customers on, and they were very cool. They not that they wouldn't, but no one had a problem. And then the rest were probably wreck boats from memory. There might have been one of the other charter boats on strike might have been out there as well. But so we ended up started gridding it out, trying to find him, and then lo and behold, he was just 3 miles sort of out, just on one of the corners, grid. Just on the grid that we'd sort of worked. Because we're thinking it can't be that far.
Not if the boat sort of acted
the boat
normal.
had moved less than 0.8 of a nautical mile in 2 hours.
Yep. So he can't be far.
That's what we thought. If he's not swimming.
Yep.
Yeah. that's the only place he's going to swim is to the rig. So we had 2 boats working that, and the rest worked that he's got to be within this radius of the boat. Otherwise, he's gone.
So what the boat coming into that grid just literally just
Was coming in to help.
and literally on the marker, he was right there waving at him. Fucking how lucky.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he says in that 60 Minutes interview that was there a plane or he saw someone and tried to wave him down or something?
Well, it was yeah. He said he could see us, and he what was spinning him out. He could, I think, when we'd caught that other fish, he said in his interview and talking to Popper was that he could see us fucking hook up like right there.
Oh.
And he could see our fish fucking jumping. We're backing down, catching a blue, and he's in the piss and he's yelling and screaming. And then he sees us put the gear back out, start fishing once we let it go. And he's like, man, they don't even know. And he said, the one thing, I got goosebumps just saying this to you now, he said, the one thing was he realised he heard my diesel stop and and then all of a sudden he said, he saw my riggers go up and he saw me fucking piss bolt and he said, fuck, they know.
Yeah.
Full-blown hair standing up on my arm. He said that's when he thought, I may not die today.
I'm a chance. How long was he in the water for?
He was in the water totally about 8 hours, I think, for the whole time. But I think at that point he'd been in the water.
No life jacket either.
No, he was fucking red raw. He had a pair of boardies on.
No
Not even
way.
a shirt.
He would have thought, particularly like getting laid over, he would have
Well,
thought.
he thought he was going to get
eaten.
eaten by a shark.
Jesus.
Being a fisherman, not a diver.
Flat, sunny day, glare hitting the water straight on. Fuck, man. That is the worst nightmare.
You would almost want to just fucking, I don't know,
Hold your breath.
just drown or do something. Yeah,
This is the trippiest part is I've watched this interview, how he actually ended up in the drink was, you might know the better, but you go.
Well, before the line was empty, so that was part of it. What happened was he have it on the GoPro. So he had the fish, he probably on his head and the one on the thing, but he had another camera that he was filming the release with.
Like a selfie thing.
Yeah, and or just filming the fish at the boat. He wasn't quite the selfie sort of, I don't think from memory, but he'd rested it because it was glass.
So he caught one, right?
Yeah, he had the fish like
on the bill,
400-pound blue on the bill, and he was filming it. And I think he put the camera on like the covering boards or the outboard or something like that. And the fish fucking shook, hit and it just went doop, plop
GoPro
like that. And it was just on the swim platform and just going over. And he's leant over to grab it and his feet have gone thunk and he's fucking gone straight over the piss. Not only did he lose his GoPro, so then the boat's idling forward. He's thinking, it's not that bad. I'll just fucking swim back to the boat. So only for about an hour. And apparently he used to competition swim, so the dude could swim.
Yeah.
And couldn't get back to the boat. Just couldn't get near it. And he was trying to edit off or whatever, but because it had a bit of an angle, he just couldn't get. And then every time he thought he was going to get close, he's thinking, fuck, I'm going to chop myself with the prop and whatever else. And then he's like, the fish that he released, he'd back the drag off. The lure's about 6 feet hanging out. It's blut off the back of the boat, but the drag's backed off on the Tiagra. So, well, if I get that, I may spool it. But hopefully the knot, and I'll better pull and pull and pull. So the story was he fucking pulled off 1,000 meters of 37 kilo line, pulled it like he held on, slowly came up, slowly pulled himself. He reckons he was like 2 feet from the fucking getting hold of the back of the boat and the fucking knot broke on the reel and fucking he lost the boat. That's why there was no line on it. So like he hadn't had many shit going his way. Like that was the word. That's the words from him. That's what happened.
Can you
Literally
imagine
a needle in a haystack?
Being found like that is like the odds of actually getting found, like you said, is like a needle in a haystack. But the fact that he got found, obviously, this is like a happy, great story. But if he never got found, I hate to use the word, what a shit way to go. You know, like that is getting 2 feet from the end of your boat. And the line snapping, and then
we've all had psychological issues in our life. Imagine what that would give you.
Mate! But yeah,
the elation of being found too. It would just, you'd cry. You'd just be like, oh my god.
He was in tears because Lex put him in the bottom of the black watch. We put him in there and took him in. Had an ambulance, and like even then, like the doctor from the hospital was saying, right, you need to give him water, but you can only give him, 200 mils every fucking 10 minutes and shit because he was massively dehydrated. Fortunately, she had like aloe vera and shit so he could deal with his sunburn because he was like literally blistered.
Yeah.
Especially on his forehead, must be like the glare and stuff. And he's been like that the whole time. A couple of times he even said it, he thought he was just going to like run out of energy.
Wow. What a story. Lucky you had a couple of sea dogs like you,
well,
mate, out there.
It's funny, like I will still say, but so every year it's his birthday or mine, we always mess each other on each other's birthdays still to this day. Like
saved his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't me, it was
everyone, but like
Liam, it was just the fact that, Liam was pretty switched on too, and he's like, because I was, you're both a bit fucking, you do, and then we're like, right, this is what we should do.
Yeah.
And as soon as two of you make a decision, you're like, right, well, that makes sense. We'll do it. So he was really good to bounce shit off with as well. He's only a younger fella, but he, again, spent a lot of time on the ocean. He was just, smart dude, like had it pretty sorted.
Yeah, a few of the boys from work and he'll love hearing that story because, like I said, he worked for the same company that I do. Shout out to Matty Cole, who's a Kiwi as well. He was good mates with him, and he's told me since we started this podcast, you got to get Ross on the podcast. You got to hear that story.
You'd love to hear that.
This is just as good
firsthand. Yeah,
he's back in NZ. He ended up shacking up with a chick, and he's a dad now and stuff. So
good.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So, shout out. What's Ross's last name? Shout out
Papa
Ross,
George.
anyway.
Ross, I'd have to look. So Papa George, everyone knows him as Papa George. I can't think of his surname. But like I said, when you're my age, mate, I can't remember.
Oh, good, mate.
What my phone number is half the time.
Mate, this would probably go well into another segment that we do on this podcast is biggest wood duck moment. So the wood duck growing up.
Ross, you're a wood duck. The biggest wood duck ever.
You know what a wood duck is. For me, it's someone, I'll be sitting on the front beach at Savannah's watching someone launch their boat. They had no idea what they were doing. Out of town, and they'd be bogged up to their eyeballs, and you're like, what is this fucking wood duck doing? What's he doing? So for me, a wood duck was always someone that just had no idea.
Yeah.
Biggest fuck up. So what I can imagine you probably had a couple.
I
come to mind?
Plenty of them.
Have you got the biggest one? Kit boys, have you got a biggest one? Biggest wood duck moment, I swear to you boys. But
what's Dad done? Come on. What's some of my better ones?
I remember Kalvin was on definitely Australian, maybe even world record Queenie on 1 kilo at Long Island, and he's just like full gone back down because it's gone in the reef, and if you look at 1 kilo line, it'll break. So we just got to be as careful as we could. And he just went straight back on the big black chin deep, straight into the reef and full, just smashed the prop. And then we went and we had like no steering. We had a friend on board called Tosh, and he had like a spear gun, and we tied it to the steering ram, I think it's called, or something like that.
Oh yeah, hydraulic.
And we were just like, the whole way home, we could
steer on the black
we could throttle, and then Tosh is just sitting there looking out the side steering with a spear gun. Yeah, that was
that's wicked.
That was a good one, Dana. I was wondering what that's his. Calves, what do you got for me?
The Barramundi cod's probably big right up.
Yeah, that was good.
The record. Yeah,
I was thinking must have been the time when we got bogged. That's what I was waiting for.
Oh yeah. Well, I reckon the bloody full noise reverse over the reef was best on ground. But we were on the Fitzroy River Barra fishing, and it was pretty late. We were putting the boat back on the trailer, and we've gone to the car, and we're like up to the bloody mudguard in sand. And we did everything we could, just couldn't get it out. It was like 7:00 at night. And then it's just getting later and later, and we kept trying, but we ended up just walking home. He had like 10% on his phone left. We're like on this little light, hoping we don't run out of battery, like 4Ks back to camp. I mean, not home, camp. You know
so we walked back to camp.
Yeah, we walked back. Yeah, the Fitzroy River, I reckon's claimed a few people with stuff ups.
So it was all pretty good. Their mum wasn't real keen at the time. Thought I was feeding him to crocodiles, but this one was only little. He was on my shoulders. They had a mate with him as well. But we were back at camp and having cans of Coke and 2-minute noodles for dinner that night, didn't we, mate? And then when I got the car the next day. Oh, but I made just the same thing. Like I'd gone on this sand. I was like, I'll just back down here. I won't worry about getting the max tracks out. I'll just fucking back down here and we'll be right. And then it goes, like Kalvin said, literally
game over.
Like there's no getting max tracks under there now.
Yeah.
and it's going to be dark in an hour. And, it's the wood duck thing. Fortunately, we're in the fresh water, thank God.
Yeah, right.
We were up like Camp Ballin way. So we didn't have that problem. But, it was just that whole thing. Oh, I just want to get the kids back to camp. I was like, I'll get this done. And, when you just, and the older you get,
sometimes you got to slow down to speed up.
In a rush, eh? Yeah.
My late grandfather, Jack, his middle name's Kalvin Jack Gates. He's named after him. He used to say to me all the time, less haste, Matthew, more speed.
Yeah.
I still remember that to this day.
Very English way of
What is it?
delivery.
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yeah.
That's the old bloody.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were the Fitzroy wood duck. I like that one.
So I did that one. That was a good one.
Before we start wrapping things up, there's another species that has been a bit of a topic of conversation down here in the last 12 months with the Send and Ben boys getting the swordfish. When were you first, because you've done the swordfish.
Yeah.
When did you get into that?
When I got sick of not sick of marlin fishing, but it was circle thing, sailfish, catch sailfish. Yeah. So we're not missing many. Let's catch the blacks the same. So we started on the bait program. Blue marlin running lures kept falling off. So then we went switching the blues, catching them. Started we doing that. So righto, I was obsessed. My motto was, if it wasn't a billfish, it was a bait fish. So it was all I was into. Let's catch a swordfish. So we did nights.
It's not a billfish, it's a bait fish. That's funny.
That'd be a good shirt.
Could we be it? But anyway, it was, so we did the night drifting thing and just got sharks. Got a couple of nice tuna. I was fishing with Raymond King when he first sort of wanted to give it a crack, and this is a long time ago. This would have been the early 2000s. I remember he had the gun. I was in the chair and it was a blue shark, so and it jumped like hell and it was massive, so I'm presuming it was a mako. And we get a few at home, not a heap. But I remember we had this thing on and it was quite a full moon and you could sort of see and it was like, it was going near the leader and we just heard this whoosh, and my line's gone slack. And obviously it was jumping doing, but because we couldn't, your vision's pretty impaired. The next thing you know, it's fucking come down and it's hit the transom of his boat, and fortunately rolled, and it would have been 450-pound mako. It was a big fish. It's hit and rolled into the drink, not into us.
Thank God. If anyone who's listening hasn't seen a mako jump before, go and look that up on
Imagine
YouTube.
that one jumping around you at night, not being able to see it.
And we just heard the whoosh of it coming up, and it felt like 10 minutes before it come down, but it's probably 10th of a second, and it was just
full air time,
and it was just bright blue, just bang, and then it's just gone in. And fortunately, it snapped us off at the same time. We were actually pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
But got in that, never really hooked a sword. And this was a sort of, mid to late. I remember we were sort of having a few problems with sharks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of these things. So I can't remember whether this was before or afterwards. So I researched towing for them. They didn't call it trolling, they called it towing. And you would rig a squid or a belly flap in a lure, like a Molecraft fluoro lure, and tow it off the downrigger. So we sort of thought, all right, we'll try this. And I can't remember if that was I think it was the first one. And we'd done it once before, and I'd done it with Ross, who used to have a reel teaser. And one day we got a clunk. I remember the Rob, I was just laying in the chair and I felt the chair go dunk like that. And I was like, oh, and it was like, oh, downriggers let go. Come up, and it didn't hook up. And then we pulled the line and you could see that it didn't have teeth marks. And we learnt this as well. Like, we're looking, there's no real bill whack at the lure. Like, you'd get a rasp from a marlin bite or whatever, but 6 feet from the lure up the leader would get like these little like you'd hit it with a razor blade and the curls would come off the leader.
Oh, yeah, like getting a bit of scissors.
Yep. And what it is, obviously, it's their bill, and on the edge of their bill sharp. So when they're smacking the leader, that would happen. And then at that time, we didn't know what that was. We're like, whoa, what's that curly whirlies on the leaders? You put a shit leader out, mate. Well, you didn't check it or something, And then we realised what that was is obviously their bill is hitting it. So at that time, we didn't know anyway. And then we ended up getting one.
So is that how they're killing their prey? Obviously, they're smacking it with their bill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which, you've seen sailfish especially. You look at blues, they obviously do use their bill, but they're more of a, what they call, game fishing saying they call it crash bite, where they'll just come in and pile on. But, you'll see blues, especially with the switching thing, where they'll do the striped marlin thing, or they'll go and they'll come up and they obviously all use that bill to feed, and a swordfish just doesn't generally do it on the surface. I mean, certain parts of the world you see them on the surface, but they're obviously doing it chopping squid up down south. You see them on the ROVs on the rigs and stuff where they get their bills stuck in stuff, trying to whack stuff and lights and things. Yeah. So pretty hostile fish. But yeah, we caught one on a lure with this like a belly flap or a strip of squid or something, and it was like, fuck, this is good. And around that same time, I was following a boat called Prime Time that was doing stuff on what it was Middlesex Bank, I think, in NZ, and they were catching lots of them.
Yep. And
big ones, like, 300-400 kilo monsters. So I ended up going over there and doing that. And there's actually one in the fishing club now at home on the wall there that a lady, Jo, spent 10 hours and 40-something minutes fighting this poor thing. Just put herself in the chair to catch it, the girl. It was hooked right in the base of the pec, and she just couldn't lead it.
Yep.
Couldn't, they're so strong. A big fish. It was 200, so 500 something pounds. It's only probably heated garage door long, but it's about as round as this room. Like, they're proper barrels.
Yeah, they have like a big great white tail.
Yeah, they
on
do.
them
They've got the big stub on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sort of got, and they towed for them as well. So
were they towing for them in New Zealand?
Yeah, and I can't remember whether I learnt if I went and saw it there first or I did it myself first, but then that's how we started catching them. So we were catching
nuance when you went over there. You saw so we were sort of going, okay, well, look, this, but then again, what was happening is we were thinking the swords are on the canyons. Everything's on those canyons off Exmouth. You couldn't night fish them because you just every 20 seconds your bait was eaten by a shark.
Yep.
You could get all this arrow squid around and do all that sort of stuff, but you couldn't soak a bait. And I thought, well, maybe just have lights out and wait for them to swim up to the boat. So we did do that as well. We got these things called hydroglows out of the States, and they were like these 6-foot tube, fucking thousands of dollars. And first one I got smashed in the freight getting it here, and there's no insurance or anything. So, these bright blue and green lights we used to just hang over. They were 12 volt or 24 volt, clip into a battery and hang them over, and it was like daylight for, 30, 40 feet around your boat.
Whitey said the same thing.
So at night time they'll come up, eh?
And then it was in GameX we caught one, and we were just off the back of the canyons, and we had a bait down 30 metres with a little sinker on it, and we had one on a balloon that we could just about see the balloon just as the sun was setting. It was probably 7:30. I remember because we'd had the club, there was like spaghetti night the night before, and they said, if any boats want us, so we had this big tub of spaghetti. So we're all eating spaghetti because you could nominate one night to fish for swords that you could stay out and extend. So we're all eating this spaghetti. Most of us spew, actually, because I don't think we heated it up properly. So we've been on the beers all day. Anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't the beers.
It wasn't the beers. Anyway, I remember we're sitting there, and I was on top of the ladder on the Blackwatch looking in the water, and I'm like, fuck's that thing there in the lights? And mate goes, that's a dolphin. It was just fucking purple, man. It was just sitting there.
Not moving.
Just sitting in the lights like that, dead stationary. It was glass, so we were, drifting a little bit. And it might have been doing this, but, I was just in the water at night. I'm like, wasn't swimming past. It was just there. And then it wasn't there. Just sort of went, just disappeared. And I'm like, that's a fucking swordfish.
Yeah.
Dunk, off goes the outrigger, clunk, got him on.
Wicked.
So we're like, fuck, how cool's this? So we got him on. That one actually jumped a few times. My mate Sean had him on. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, we had another 24 sitting down here. And they were all doing shit, getting gloves and gaffs and bits. So I grabbed the 24 because I started the boat. I said, I'll just crank this up and then I'll drive the boat. So it's 2 cranks of the handle. I've gone, come up. And I've come up tight. And I've gone, fucking hell. I said, and then it's like, oh, that's a fish. I said, it's probably just a shark. I'll just cut it off. And they go, nah, man, look, we've got, who knows?
No doubles.
I said, no chance. Lo and behold.
Double
I sat there in the corner with this one, just like the drag on about 2 kilos, just like not giving it. Just said, well, let's deal with this one because we know this is a sword.
Yep.
We've seen it jump. We had it right at the boat side, but because he had a siloam stick at the wind on, we couldn't really wind the wind on. So old mate's grabbed the leader and started to do it. And he's come in and grabbed the leader. And as we've basically gone to gaff it, he said, oh, we'll just dump it. And he's let it go. And you right, Dino?
You need the toilet, bro? Okay, cool.
Sweet. That's all right. The kids are good. And it dumped the leader, did about a 70-metre run. The fucking hook fell out.
Oh.
So then you can hear a pin drop on the boat, and I'm like standing in the corner over there watching all this going, oh, and I've got this fucking shark on. They're going to be happy with me. And lo and behold, it ended up being a 45.6 sword, which was the state record on 24 for quite some time, but it's been pipped in recent years. So we ended up having a genuine double because we saw that one, but we'd lost it, and then obviously the other one.
Wow.
How good's that? What year? What sort of year?
I can tell you around about the year 2006, 7 or 8.
And
the reason I know is because Tommy Miller told me that he pipped you later in the comp.
He did. He did.
It looks like it.
He killed a 90-kilo black on the last day with his old man on 15 for the heaviest billfish weight, because they were never that many weighed.
Yeah.
But I'd weighed the only billfish, and I was like, he killed me with a dirty manky black. But he was a junior at that point. He was probably not much older than Calves is now, and I think it might have been a state record. Anyway, but there was a prize to be had. No one ever said it.
He's
straight it in on the final.
Tommy's 4 years older than me, so he would have been. He would have been 15.
Yeah. Well, he's basically 14, so he was.
And you know what you're like when you're that age too. You think your shit doesn't stick. He would have let you know about
I did, yeah.
Early, so that's early, yeah. So a lot of people are sort of, for us, they're like, swordfish is just becoming a thing, but it's been happening for a little while.
Well, this was before
do you know
the day
anyone else
drop
that's got one on a lure like towing the way you did in WA? That's the first I'd heard of it.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, it is centered or whatever you call it. Like it had a belly flap in it.
Yeah, that's the same.
But it wasn't just 2 hooks or whatever. So when we were in NZ, they did run molecraft as well because they're soft, obviously.
Yeah.
But they were running just like big 14-inch marlin skirts that were fluoro over it as well.
Yep.
And they were actually putting like little siloam sticks in the bait, so the bait was actually like glowing.
Yeah.
They were towing
What's a
them.
molecraft?
Molecraft, they're an American-made marlin lure pusher, but they're like high. What do you call it? It's like a polyethylene rubber, but they're all soft. You know, like back in the day, Peter Bacula made the original softies or whatever.
And they had that smell to them.
These were old school of that. They were like, they're still made today. They haven't changed. They look like a dog's breakfast, to be honest with you, with how some of the marlin lures you see these days are just magnificent. You know, they're works of art. These old school things, but mate, they worked. They still do. Still, molecraft still caught a lot of grounders around the world and records and stuff like that. So,
wow.
But before we get into our another good segment with the listener questions that we got, I want to ask the boys if there's anything you boys that you want to tick off on the list. What's next for you that you haven't done? Because I can imagine, Gatesy, for you, it'd just be like reliving yourself as childhood fishing. Like they move from one thing to trout, then it's a dolphin fish, then it's wahoo, then it's
just
all this.
Better when it's not you. It's more rewarding with them.
With your kids, it is. I totally get it, and they're obviously fast tracked because they've got you as a dad. Is there anything?
Many ways in life.
you know, your fishing upbringing is not normal, boys.
Yeah, well, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to catch that you haven't yet?
It sounds weird from coming from Exmouth. I've caught a lot of black marlin. I've caught a lot of sailfish, but I've always wanted to catch a stripe and a blue marlin.
Wicked.
I've never really caught one of those, and lucky before this burn, I got to catch one dewy, so that was one of the main goals. So I got that one off the list, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wicked. What about you, Kalvin?
Yeah, well, sort of the same. I haven't caught a blue either, which is a bit.
What are you doing, Dad?
Yeah, well, they're not that heavily into billfishing, to be frankly honest. In my defence, they'll do it and they'll fish in the comp. If we're like, fishing Game X with Marcus or whatever, then if Marcus says we need to billfish all day, they'll sit there and watch lures all day. They don't whinge. They'll do it.
Yeah,
down for the cause.
But the thing is with the blue side of things as well. Like obviously we haven't got the black watch anymore. Haven't really. So it's and it's. I mean, the harness basically only just fits Dino now, even the sort of small stuff, and it's hard work.
Yeah.
Stripe, it's hard to target a stripe in Exie. They sort of show up when you're blue fishing. He could definitely do it. We just basically haven't got round. They both caught. I mean, Dean spent, a couple of Game X's ago. I think he was 10, maybe even 9, spent best 2 hours and 40 minutes on 24 spin on a black that, I don't know. You don't weigh it, don't say it, but it's a big fish. Like it was well over 150 kilo. Like the problem is we fished light, so we only had like 100-pound leader on light gauge hooks. I had it on the wire a couple of times, and I tend not to wire with gloves on the light because you can just feel when you can, like, oh, that's about to make us, and I'll let it go. I had it on the wire twice, and the second he was in tears, like he'd had enough. I should have just held on if we thought it, and then eventually I just said, mate, he just kept doing the drag up, and he was hanging on to 24 spin, so no belt.
Wow.
He used me as a game chair for about an hour.
Your nuts would have been bloody
mate,
after that.
I don't think he even fished the next day. He came out, but he only wanted to fish. I was watching.
Yeah. Well, you're 11 years old. You can't have everything at this age, mate. So it's something to strive for.
You boys do strike me as the kind of lads that got that bit of mongrel in you, like your body's going to break before your mind when you look up to a big blue like that. You'll get there.
Yeah,
I know
definitely do.
You boys on Instagram or anything? I know there's a social media banner.
Can't be.
Whatever.
Can't be, mate.
Well, keep an eye out for these boys' names because I got a feeling that in 10 years, these lads are going to be putting a dent in quite a few fish. So
they just won't be allowed to put where it's at, lads?
Yeah. An undisclosed location.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess we move into the listener questions, Lek.
Let's do it, mate.
Cool.
Yep.
So we got our Dial listener questions. So thank you to Dial for getting behind every week or every podcast that we do. You listeners got an opportunity to win some epic prizes thanks to Daiwa. Got behind the Rodcast in 2026. So we've given away TD Black reel. We've given away
epic prizes, boys. Yeah, I know you can't have social media, but you'll have to get one for your dad so you can send in some listener questions. We'll send you some good gear if you send in a good question. But we got heaps here today.
So I actually messed up this week. I said it was a line and leader pack, but I reckon this pack this week tops it quite a bit. So you're getting a bunch of bait junkie Daiwa soft plastics. These are epic. I use these myself. These are definitely my preferred jig head now that with the hook keeper that's on them. I don't really use anything else. In my tackle box, you're getting a D box to store it all. And then on top of that, you're getting a backpack to go on the running. And the person that's going to win that is just all he's had to do or she's had to do is submit a question and it'll get a good answer. And that'll be the question that we pick to get that prize back. So we ended up sending that TD Black over to Victoria. I haven't actually told the guy from the last episode that he's won anything yet, but yeah, everyone's in with a chance. Good question. So you're winning A with the answer that you get and B with the prize that you get for
definitely
asking
with the prize.
questions. So,
let's go.
All right, thanks, Daiwa. So I've written a few down here. So first one comes from @Mike and Harley. So that's Mike Kitts. He's been a supporter of the podcast from day one. And he wrote, if you could relive one day on the water, where would it be and why? Gatesy.
There's one as dad, which should probably take precedence because one of my things in my life is I think I was born to be a father. I'll try and say that without crying, but these guys have changed who I am. I was never the straightest human being going around, and having these two in my life has made me the person I am today. So it would be, we can say it was on the Fitzroy River. That's as much as I'll give. And it was the day with the yesterday's hero lure that Dean talked about just before we went on air. And, mate, we were just, it was Easter time, runoff, glass, no one on the river, and the mungies were eating their tits off. And these guys were just smacking them, absolutely smacking them to the stage where I'd been driving all night to get there. And it got to the point where they were on the Minn Kota and they were like 9 and 11. Netting their own fish, just smacking like 80s and 85. 88s was the number. Remember how many 88s did we get that trip? They were just like 88s, 88s, 80s. Just smacking them. And they were doing it all themselves in the end. I've never even edited it. I've got it all on GoPro, but I got a bit lazy back. I used to do the bidding of that. But that would be one of the days, just because, as we said earlier, Barra don't eat. They do, but not always when you want them to.
Yeah.
It was a day where you just couldn't really put a foot wrong. Well, we still could. Like, we had to get them out of that hell snag, remember? And they were still getting smoked and bits and pieces. And it was just on that period of the tide, we happened to be in the right place and the boys were just grinning. We were just having the best time. Like Dino says, we always have cold oranges in the slurry, cut them into quarters, and they've got these photos holding Barra. It was just, one of them days. It was just one of those days that you just wish you could have the weather, no other human around, just us.
And you made the most of it.
And we had the best. It was a really awesome trip. It was just fantastic.
So if you find any of that footage, send us.
I've got it. We've definitely got it.
For you if you want.
I'll just send you that. Well, mate, I got a hard drive full of it, but
That's it.
Yeah.
I'd love to see some fish from that day.
we do it. We started to do it. We had a little what's it called, Kalvin? YouTube channel with KDMA. So we had KDMA Adventures. So we've done it's Kalvin, Dean, Matt Adventures. So we had the stuff there where we'd put a bit of stuff up. But yeah, just with my life, what's happened in the recent years has been a bit hectic. I just haven't got onto it. But yeah, I've still got lots of footage. And
there'd be a lot of people. One of you boys have to pick that YouTube channel up again. I think there'd be a lot of people listening to this podcast who want to be watching you boys.
Me included.
Yeah, me too. That was a wicked question. Anyway, Mike's actually a dad, so he
I love that.
answer.
I relate as well. One of my best days is with my young fella.
Yeah. So next one is from Mitch_WA Fisho. Is there a particular fishery in Exmouth that is underrated? That is a great question.
That is a really good question. There's probably several. One I would say is like a lot of the boys doing the stuff that's a bit different now, e.g. targeting black bot tuskies on rubber crabs, either on fly or conventional, and the traditional humble queenfish.
Love queenies.
There's no one that doesn't enjoy catching a queenfish. You know, like GTs, they were vogue there for a while. I think they've sort of broke everyone's emotions because they've sort of cottoned on a bit. They don't tend to eat. But yeah, look, I think that our inshore queenie fishing when they're on is just something that sort of goes under the radar. And when they're on, they're proper on. You know, you can be getting a bite every second cast on surface. They're spectacular fish. I think that's a bit underrated.
They eat all right as well.
Like yeah, if you eat them fresh, like a tailor, that's what they remind me of. You can't really freeze them, but if you eat them fresh, nothing wrong with them.
Yep.
And yeah, like just the new dimension of stuff, like just, you know, chasing them blue bastards that they go and catch them, and, you know, even catching a few Barra and Exmouth. And, mate, there's black Jews are starting to become a thing with catching that as well. So, look, there's a few fish there that I think are, you know, just outside the square.
They're relatively untapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, that stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what pioneering is.
Yeah.
Nice. Another good question. All right, this one's from your mate Tommy Miller, who we've mentioned a few times. And believe it or not,
how on earth did you let him get?
He's actually not taking the piss out of you here, which is surprising even for me. Who influenced your career the most, and how so?
Not that I read much anymore, but the man Hal Harvey would be the most influential person regarding fishing as a whole in my life, from making it my livelihood to my obsession. And I think that he was always he's a very dry sense of humour, very I don't know. He's a
bit of a strange cat.
Yeah, he was a strange cat. Good way to put it.
You're not the first one that's.
He's a different dude.
Yeah.
But he was a damn good dad as well. And I mean, he had a pretty traumatic closing to his life, you know. And I spent a lot of time with his kids and helped him, and, you know, his wife, and they were good people and just genuine family. And, you know, he was a good dad. So I think, you know, part of that side of things, he made a point of really doing stuff with Jack, Elizabeth, and Sarah before he passed, and you know, a lot of that involved fishing, you know, even with his two daughters. So I think that influenced me to be, when I had kids, it was like, do you want to go fishing? And then, like, if they went out and they were like, no, I've had enough, but they were going home. I never made it about me. So I think Hal influenced me to make it about what is right for the people you want to take to enjoy it. Like, my dad's in his early 80s now, and I mean, he's caught marlin, sailfish, and caught some amazing fish. Never was a fisherman at all, except taking me jam jarring. But like, he's never great. He was a sailor, but he as in like race little yachts and stuff like that around. And but he got crook. He got seasick, so he didn't really like going out fishing too much. But he was the same. Like, he'd catch a few. Oh, can we go? Yep, no worries. So I think one of those things is like, you didn't make it about you. Hal taught me to make the experience of introduce. If you're fishing for you, it's a fucking job. You're going out and you're going to catch those fish. And I fish with I barra fish with a guy called Paul Michelli now, and he gets it. Like, him and I, it's a job. We don't sleep. We just bloody catch barra, drink beer, and have a laugh, like, you know, we do. But, you know, you fish hard.
Yep.
You wake up at dawn, fish that bite, go back, have breakfast, maybe have a quick kip, go out, get firewood and stuff, and then out fish sunset and blah. So everything's just non-stop, keeps going flat out all the time as well. So I think that Hal taught me to be, and Tommy will understand this, to be understanding about people you want to introduce into what you're so avidly passionate about, to do it at their level. And I think that's why now these two are so good at what they are. And they can be, even at their young age, I take my hat off. Like if they've got their mates out and bang, they get a mackerel hook up when we're trolling, they'll go, yeah, even if it's their turn, they'll do it. They'll go, oh, you go, mate. And Kalvin will go, James, or Dean will go, Cobes, you'll go, whatever. And they'll let their mates have a go, because, you know, that they understand that probably 10 kilo mackerel might mean more to them because they've never caught one. You know what I mean? Like,
might be something they forget about next week, but their mate is going to remember that forever.
And I'd love that. I love that part of it as well, because for me, that fishing isn't a competitive thing. Like I've had my competition with, you know, footy and previous stuff. I understand there's a place for it and there's competition. Like you said, when it's time to go hard, I'm all in on that as well.
Yeah.
But it's about enjoying it, getting a good feed at the end of the day. And I like what you're saying. When you're introducing someone to fishing, make it enjoyable for them. And if they enjoy it, then something's going to click in them where they're going to want to go harder next time. All right, let's go do this. But it's at their pace.
Yeah, I think
like
that is the thing. That's the way you put it. It's at their pace, their level. If you force feed it, and it's the same with anything with a kid, you know, say I was a golfer and I tried to force feed them to be down the golf, they'd end up resenting it.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, and it's the last thing I wanted was them to resent what we loved. And it's been through footy. Obviously, I coach the kids, and unfortunately, they're no Mark Lacroix, but they're pretty handy with the football.
Mate, I wasn't that good earlier. Don't worry about that.
But you know, like they're both pretty lucky that, you know, we went took them to the blooming wakeboard park the other day, so we had mate with them as well. And like instantly, they were both a bit sore. That's why I got a massage today. Pardon me, but there was like, before you knew it, they're on the lake going round. There was like all these adults that couldn't do it, and these two are getting the bell, having to get off because they wouldn't fall off. You know, like, and it was just for me. Like, were you doing it, Dad? And I said, mate, we're camping for a month, and I got to fix shit, make shit. I said, mate, I can't afford to be that sore. And then yesterday, we get it, Dad. Like,
you pay for it in the long run.
You know, so I think that's about in life. Generally, you introduce somebody to something or whatever you do, you have a crack, and if it becomes your thing, and you grab your people that are close to you to do it, you know, and you do it, as you said, at their rate, their pace.
Light the fire and let them stoke it,
yeah.
I reckon.
Unreal. Another good question and another good answer, but he ain't winning shit.
No.
Tommy, how's it? Thanks for that, but get stuffed.
This one's from Kieran Shepherd. 3 best tips for someone heading out to target their first billfish. Assuming he's talking about Exmouth. So.
I would imagine so. Patience would be the first thing. Don't expect it to happen overnight, because you can go out one day and you'll get 5-6 bites in an afternoon. You go out the next day and you won't snap a lucky all day. So, like, you know, and nothing's changed. The barometer hasn't changed. The currents look the same. The water's the same. Water temp's the same amount of bait. You're marking them on the sounder, but they ain't coming up. So they don't tend to be as pain in the ass to catch as a barra or something like that. I think that, you know, it's the simple fundamentals with marlin fishing or bill fishing, the same thing. You know, go out, be patient, keep it simple, stupid, find bait, and it's not necessarily the tuna working on the shop a lot on the surface on the inshore scene. It's more sort of marking mid-water bait, that sort of stuff, and stay where you find the food, you find the fish. Water doesn't need to be blue. I always used to think, mate, the water's green, we've got to go, we've got to find. But if the water isn't the best colour, but there's bait in it, fish it. And you'll say, and they're having good technology these days, like use your electronics. But so I would just say be patient, look for the bait, and and just, you know, dot your I's and cross your T's before you put your gear in, because even a 20 kilo black, I know it doesn't, you know, it's a massive fish as far as fish go, but it's small for a marlin, but they've still got so much power.
Very pretty good tips there.
Yeah, and come into Tackle World Exmouth to
That's
get
always another good one.
tackle.
Yeah.
Best tackle and advice.
Mate.
So they're some pretty good questions, man. Were there any on there that stuck out to you?
No, I reckon you've gone the good ones. I really like the first one.
You know what? I'm with you. What about you, Gatesy? Which one did you
Pretty
like?
fair. I think
Yeah. So Kitsy, Mike and Harley, I'm going to send you a Bait Junkie lure pack. Thanks to Daiwa. That is an epic. I'm actually kind of lost for words at that response, to be honest.
Yeah, it was wicked. Yeah, we've had,
awesome.
and the listener questions, we've had an awesome response to that as well. So keep the questions coming. But what a wicked prize pack just for sending in a question.
Yeah, we'll get that in the
thanks for
mail
looking
to you,
after
Kitsy.
us.
So yeah, all you got to do to be in the running is ask a question. You got to follow us on social media. Keep an eye on our stories. These questions could come up at any time. We don't record these episodes on any particular day, so just you got to keep your finger on the pulse. Make sure you get a question in, and you could be walking home with some epic dive prizes. So get that out to you soon, Kitsy. That's epic. So
Wicked.
hit
All
him with a
right,
quick fire left.
mate. It's been a wicked chat as well. So I appreciate you all coming in and making the effort. We always finish the episode with the quick fire questions. So first thing that comes to your mind, boys, you can pipe in here as well. If
I need some help
anything-
here, all right?
Yeah. If anything comes up, these are pretty easy, but we like to keep them quick. All right. So top 3 eating fish.
Dean.
Oh, definitely cold trout.
Sorry, go again, Dino. I had your thing down because you keep tapping
all
that
good.
microphone.
Definitely cold trout, and I'm a big fan of red emperor.
Yep, two will do.
Yeah, cold trout, red emperor, and
Throw one more in there, boys.
Wahoo.
Wahoo. All right.
Blue one, I don't know.
Coral trout, red emperor, and wahoo. I'm going to go wahoo. They're 3 good eating fish. Daiwa or Shimano?
Bring that
Both.
mic close to you.
Both.
Yeah,
Gatesy.
both.
Both.
Yeah.
They just, as we discussed before we went on air, like they're but quite uniquely different. You know, Daiwa have got the inshore jiggy, heavy spin sort of bait casting sort of. Shimano do a lot more of the game sort of stuff. So in their own market for what they do, the 2 best brands in the world by a long way.
You
Depends
need
what
them
you're
both
into.
for what
Yeah,
you
it
do.
depends what you get into. Exactly right.
So Daiwa, thanks, mate. One lure for the rest of your life. What is it?
Squirrel.
I'd go close to squirrel. I love nomads as well.
Calv.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say a hunk of squid.
Get right up in that microphone,
Oh.
brother.
Live mullet.
yeah, live mullet.
Trade it.
That's actually a lure. It's not a live mullet.
No,
You're
he's
talking
been
about the
sarcastic.
chase bait.
Nah, he's talking about
Live bait.
actual
live
live
bait.
bait. Yeah, right.
hand line and a mullet, mate. That's
I thought you were talking about the chase bait's live mullet with that little prop on
Oh,
the
yeah,
back.
they're actually pretty good
Yeah,
too.
they're bangers.
best boat snack.
Dean.
Oranges.
They got that microphone. Gatesy.
Lamb chops.
I like that. Not
Yeah.
bad.
I don't know if we've had lamb chops.
No.
Beer.
Yeah. Bucket list destination. Fishing.
Tropic Star Lodge, because the kids used to watch Dude Perfect when they were young, and they went there, and it was just like the boys wanted to go there and do that, and I thought I would love to take my 2 boys
Where's
to Tropic
that?
Star Lodge, Panama.
Yeah, I have heard of that. That's when they get big rooster fish in that, hey?
You get all that inshore rooster, red drum, cubera, and then offshore black, blue, stripe, white, yellowfin.
Wicked.
It just
The ultimate fishing grand slam.
Dude, perfect.
possibility.
My boys like that. If you could have a beer with any fisho, dead or alive, who would it be?
Or a Coke, boys. Can of Coke.
Yeah.
All right, a can of Coke.
Ron Calcutt.
Who's
Right.
that?
There you go. So Ron Calcutt, you'll have to Google this and do it. So Ron Calcutt did the very first videos, VHS videos, called A Fisherman's World. He did 3. He fished with his son and stuff like that. And Ron Calcutt was, I was probably Dean's age. He wouldn't be with us any, but he was the pioneer of putting his fishing dreams out there.
Wicked.
So yeah, for
Have to
me,
look him
The
up.
original YouTuber.
well, but he was
Before.
doing it on VHS and
Yeah.
beta,
Like the old
was it?
Malcolm
Beta,
Sounds like
Douglas.
a Malcolm Douglas
Yeah.
for fishing.
Yeah, he was like that, but he didn't do that much of it because I think he got pretty crook. Him or Malcolm Florence he was another one. He did like a lot of the more grander fishing off cans and stuff like that back in the day as well. So,
Yeah.
Dino, you got a fisherman you look up to, mate? You wouldn't mind sharing a can of Coke with?
We've touched on Hal a lot. I mean, I never really, I don't even know if I was alive, if I would know when I just would never met him, and Dad's always said such great things, and everyone I know that knows him. And yeah, it would just be cool to meet him, but obviously not going to happen, but I wish I could.
Like it.
How good is that?
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing before I yanked my mic away. I was about to
Oh,
say
the
it.
fishing rod that was about to go off in front of you. You got in first.
Yeah.
All right, this one's for you, Gatesy. Any advice for a young fisherman? What would it be?
Enjoy it. Take it for what it is. Take it for where it takes you. Take it for what you see, what you experience, and not what you catch.
Love it.
That's the bonus.
What about you, lads? Boys that are your age, just getting into it. What would you tell them? One tip.
Yeah, I mean, don't start huge. Start with the brim at the marina and then upgrade your combos. Just before you just launch straight into going out, I want to catch a trout, I want to do this. Just do one step at a time to then get to where you are. It's like with us, we've done it a long time, but we all started somewhere with the muleys off boat ramps catching tiny fish that are this big to then catching marlins on big lures that are like as big as this, like as long as this room. So
Yeah. Dino, you are wise beyond your years, mate. You are like a 40-year-old, 50-year-old man in a 12-year-old's body.
It's because he hangs out with me too much.
Too much time on the boat.
Right, okay, Kals, you go.
What do you got?
What was the question again, Lek? Remind me.
Any advice what about advice for one of your mate, a young fisherman getting into it? What?
Don't worry about what others think about whatever gear you have, what sort of fishing you like. Do what you like and do it heaps and enjoy it.
Mate,
Another banger.
that's spot on. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely perfect
Don't
way to
compare.
finish.
We proved it. You can catch fish on a hand line. You just got to make do what you got. Get out there, have a crack.
Don't be a snob and get out there and enjoy your fishing. How good,
That
mate.
is.
Banging answers.
Bloody loved it, mate. You've been an awesome guest. I know that you've got so much knowledge up in that area and pioneered a lot of fisheries as well that a lot of people don't know about, which I also respect, and keeping it to yourself as well. So, boys, I'm looking forward to watching you guys grow and seeing a lot of your catches. One thing we always do is get a guest to put a lure in the wall. You've come down from Exmouth, so you didn't have anything with you, but we'll have to get you to send a lure down and we'll hammer it.
The boys are onto it. They'll probably send you one each, and they'll definitely do that. So
Wicked.
I've got two questions for you, actually, Leko. So did you want to catch your meter 11 on a hand line? Was that something you actually like?
It was it was a last resort. So we were fishing the Pentecost after a cyclone, and all the fresh water had come down and just completely shut down the river. So for me, we had the live, the scope and everything on the boat, and we'd tried trawling, tried casting, done everything, and I sent the boys off in the boat. We'd thrown the cast net. I actually got that meter 11. It was on a chunk of bony herring.
Oh, wow.
Chunk
Massive one. So cut in half.
Huge. So, and I've fished with Birchie a lot, and I've seen him catch heaps of big fish on a chunk bait. So I was, at that point, I'd almost resigned to not getting a fish, but I knew we were fishing a wicked zone. So I was like, I'm throwing a hand line out. So yeah, in short answer is yes. And before we went up on this trip, I've said it already on the podcast before, I grabbed the one hand line that, sorry boys, but it said big cunts only, and I threw it out there, and I was like, and it's caught one fish, and it will only ever catch one fish. And I pulled up, meter 11 on a chunk bait on a hand line, two things I'd never done before.
And was that your PB, Barra?
Equal PB Barra to one. How many? The other scale of this one, that's 2023. Both meter 11. That one was just on a live bait. So
yeah, right.
Yamakatsu SL12.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was fishing the Wilson. So different stretch of river, but that big metery was in a spot where my son caught his first barra as well. So it was like everything lined up, and it was wicked.
We're not really up there targeting anything else, really.
Big
Anyway, yeah, big cunts only.
Have you got another one?
No, that was it. I just thought one because meter 11's a good fish. It's like Pilbara wise, you would have seen a bit like to catch a Pilbara barra over 110 is pretty rare. Like you get that 10.
I've got a 102 in the Pilbara. Yeah.
That 102, 103 seems to 101. Like you get a few of them, but it was in because 111's a good fish. I think I've got 111, 114, a 116, and a 118. Yeah. So they're the only fish I've ever caught over one. I've got a 110 on a lure. It's the best I've caught on a lure.
Yeah.
But I've only caught 4 111 or better in my whole life, and I've fished for about a long time. But I've caught, I reckon, I don't know, but for a while there I could remember to about 60 metres. I could remember where I'd caught them and what lure. But then, old age and fear's got the best of me, so I can't remember anymore. But I've probably been lucky enough to catch 60, 70, 80 meteries, but most of them have been 109 or less because I've fished the Pilbara.
I've caught the itch now after that trip. I got a little one right at the end in the dying seconds of the trip. But yeah, probably only 60 centimetres, 70 centimetres or something.
Have you ever got one on a chunk bait?
Never tried, but
Might be
never
worth trying,
never
boys.
even seen it done.
Yeah,
So
he
you're talking
swears by 'em.
Like a cutlet. Literally just cut the middle out of this bony
Top,
and
bottom,
just put
cut in
a
half.
hook straight through it. And I reckon, mate, I've seen so many fish caught that way, particularly
Yeah,
off the
she
bank.
swears
in
by
that
it.
dirty water.
Yeah, and he'll always throw it out, even if he's got liveys. It'll be alongside liveys, and I've seen the chunk bait get eaten. It must be the warm, like that time. I don't know, but he does it year round. But that he said to us, he thinks that Barra up there when they're feeding and when things line up, they're scavengers.
Yeah, they are. There's no doubt. And in that dirty water, I mean, they've got good sensory, but they can't be seeing that well. You can put your rod tip in and you put your first guides on the surface. You can't see the tip of your rod. Like you can't see an inch into that water.
Yep.
You know,
Think of the crocs that sit up, just under the water. You can't even see them till they've got their mouth open at you.
Mate, we could talk all night.
Real quick before we dip out, mate, where can people find your shop? If they're coming to Exmouth, Tackle World Exmouth, they'll come in, see you, get the best tips, best tackle. Where do they find you?
Thanks, lads. Appreciate the plug there. So as you drive into town, it's on the left, Maley Street. So just past the first Exmouth Escape sort of caravan resort right on the left there. So the marina's on the right. Yeah, we're just on the left before you actually sort of get into town. And, come in and see us. We're open 7 days a week, and I'm blessed with some of the best staff a businessman could ever want to have. Even when I'm not there or I'm hanging out with these two, you'll still get all the service. In fact, you'll get way better service from them than you will me these days because I'm old and grumpy.
Yeah,
So
get in there and pick their
local.
brains, guys. Local knowledge, nothing beats it. So thanks for coming in, guys. Appreciate it. That was a banger chat.
Cheers, lads.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.